still choking on your own vomit in the back of a rapist van. I don't ever wanna be you. Don't wanna be just like you. All what I'm saying is this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up, you. Don't wanna be you. To the teachers and burn, to the witches and slam in the back of my jaguar. To the teachers and burn, to the witches and slam in the back of my jaguar.
Heyo! What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Tjay TV Podcast 10-year anniversary show, only on Spotify, and, if it allows me to, because of the length of this episode, YouTube and Facebook. How are you doing today, everyone? Welcome to the 10-year show. I can't believe that this show started 10 years ago. I really started this show not having a plan. I had these stupid topics picked out because I'll never forget this. It was back in 2015. I decided, like, you know what? I want to make this like a webcast, kind of like iCarly, or, for example, I wanted to mimic Howard Stern because I knew how outrageous he was. And the first episode I did was me talking about women and, you know, just dumb shit that I just kind of posted just for fun. I mean, it was stupid. It was the stupidest thing I probably ever posted. Like I said, I had no plan. And I really just wanted just to make something different, you know? And as time went on, I decided, you know what? I want to make this something better. Like, I want to have an actual plan. I want to have topics I am passionate about. And I just decided, you know what? Why act like somebody else when that's not me? I just want to do my own thing. Yeah, of course I could talk about certain things that are going on in the world or in my personal life. Like, for example, like I have a topic about hot teachers I'm going to talk about probably in the next couple days, or hot moms as well. But in any event, yeah, I started this 10 years ago, and it's been a long time coming. I decided that, you know what, let's see what happens. And like I said, I just kept upping the ante. I've done amazing interviews with a lot of different people, talked to a lot of different people as well. And, you know, I'm just eternally grateful. I really am. And before I get on with what we're going to be doing for this show, I have an announcement to make. And basically, I've been teasing this for a while. So, about a year ago, I want to say, I think it was in December or January, I made a decision that I was going to be leaving the podcast. I decided after 10 years of the show, I was going to hang it up and, you know, step away from podcasting. And I mean, not step away from podcasting forever. I mean, I'm a creative guy. I'm sure I can do more creative outlets than doing the Tjay TV podcast, you know, this, that, and the third. And, you know, I've been talking to a good friend of mine, John Johnson, who's going to be on the show in a little bit as well. You know, he was saying, TJ, why don't you continue? Like, continue doing the show. Or if you want to do something different, rebrand it. You know, just rebrand the podcast, make it something better. And I thought about it, like, you know, that was the idea anyways, like, make it a whole new show and have, like, a whole new, you know, format to it. So I was just thinking, like, maybe I should just do that, but, you know, I thought about it for a while. So, I'm going to make an announcement. And this is kind of a hard announcement because I wasn't sure how I was going to, do this, whether I was going to stay or end, the podcast and just continue doing other stuff. But my announcement is that I am going to be staying until December 19th. In other words, I'm going to continue podcasting for TJ TV until December 19th. And that will determine whether I am staying or going. So, December 19th, tune in because that will probably either be the last day or, a day where I celebrate if I'm staying or not. I mean, like I said, I don't know. Like, I want to stay and I want to go, but I figured, if I want to, I don't know, if I want to end the show, why end it in the summer? Why not do it in December? Continue going until December 19th and just, continue doing the show and talking about other stuff and interviewing because there's still a lot of people I want to interview. I mean, it's something that I love doing, So December 19th will be officially the day where I make an announcement whether I'm staying or leaving. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say for that. So I will be here. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to take off in the summer, too. Like, July 4th, probably from July till mid-August, I'm going to take a little bit of time off and continue with, the Scary Mary podcast and other projects I'm working on. So, stay tuned for that. But, yeah, December 19th will be, either my last day or another announcement. So, stay tuned for that because, it's just something I want to, I need more time to think, And the 10-year show came up so quickly that I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue or quit or this, that, and the third. I don't know. But I've been doing TJ TV for so long, it kind of just melted into my brain, like, So, yeah, that's just what's going on right now. But, that's the story. I'm sticking to it. So, on today's show, I'm going to be doing something different. Every anniversary show, I usually, get serenaded with music or, something different. Where I just say, hey, welcome to the show. It's been a good 5 years, blah, 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 blah. No, here's what we're going to be doing. In a couple minutes, I'm going to play the first 3 minutes of my show. Maybe even 2 before I get on to the topic. But I'm going to play the first couple minutes of my show. It was formerly called TJ Talks back in the day. And I just want to hear the difference from what I sounded like 10 years ago to what I sound like now. And then I'm going to be talking to multiple guests that have been on the show throughout the years. And I kind of wanted to do this like for a week. Like, for example, have this person on Monday, this person on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. No. I'm going to have recurring guests who have been on the show from maybe a few years ago, maybe currently. So I'm going to have a couple guests. And like I said, this is going to be a very lengthy episode. It's probably going to be about 3 hours. And if you can't devote all 3 hours, then I suggest going to your favorite guest. So, without further ado, here is the first ever episode I recorded back in 2015. And then we're going to be talking to my first guest. Welcome to the TJ TV Podcast 10-year anniversary show. What's up? It's a new podcast called TJ Talks. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, TJ Gleason, and this is my new podcast called TJ Talks. And this podcast is about me talking about certain subjects I like to talk about. So, a little bit about myself. I am 20 years old. I currently am in college. I'm having the summer of my life because I'm doing a podcast for the first time in my life. and I hope you guys will enjoy it. By the way, I'm not here to offend anybody, but the subjects I will be talking about will sometimes be a little bit more, I don't know, rude, and people may not like my comments or whatever I say. So that's my message, and I'm sticking to it. So don't get offended. And I hope people will like this podcast. But I'm TJ. This is TJ Talks, and my first subject that we're talking about is women. All right. So my first guest is Ray Gonzalez, who's been on the show. Actually, you came on the show in 2021 as just like an interview, and then we became friends throughout the year. And how you've been? It's been a couple weeks. No, it's been a couple months since we've hung out on Zoom.
Yeah, I've been great, man. I didn't know it was that long, to be honest, but I'm so glad to be, I'm so glad you reached out to me and we started doing these things. These are like some of my favorite conversations. Um, it's just, it's just cool to be here to talk to you. We end up having like the craziest conversations every time. So it's cool. I've been chill. We're just kind of working on music and trying to get stuff out there. Um, but yeah, man, I'm happy to be here.
You and your brother are still doing the music thing, right?
My brother mostly does film, so he's doing short films and stuff. I'm mostly doing the music stuff. But we'll collab every now and then put stuff together.
Yeah, it's crazy though to think that me and you have developed a friendship when it comes to doing what you do, because I think we connected over your music, I believe, if I'm correct.
Right, yeah.
And
That's
then
what it was.
and then we did a 2-hour show in the very beginning, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Yeah, I remember I put some songs out, and after that it kind of just tapered off, and I kind of went back to the drawing board and kind of I wanted to reset and change chords a little bit with that, but we just kept doing these and just talking. I don't know, a lot's changed from back in those days, I think.
Yeah, I think it was I think we said this earlier, 2021 is when we met. And now
Was that during the pandemic? Like, when was the pandemic? Was it 2020?
2020, yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah, so we were just freshly into the pandemic back then.
It's weird to think though too, because like the whole pandemic, I met a lot of interesting people on Zoom, because like that's all you could do. You couldn't go out and meet people, and like Zoom and now StreamYard, which is where I'm streaming now, like many different things and meet many different people from all over the world, which was it's a cool concept, honestly, when I first discovered it. Probably with you too as well.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I told you this before, but me and my friends, we started kind of. We did start a podcast actually too. It didn't last long. We got like 2 episodes out, I think. But mostly it was because back in those days you couldn't really go out much, or people were afraid. Like it got me. I was a little bit afraid of going out and catching, COVID during that time, because it was still like you didn't know what was happening. So we mostly stayed indoors, and it was kind of maddening because like all the things you used to be able to just do, you couldn't just do them anymore. So that's why we started a podcast, because it was like at least some kind of human interaction. And I think that's why all those podcasts too started taking off. You just needed some human interaction back in those days.
Yeah, and that was I'll never forget. I had to drive my mom to the car dealership to get her car inspected, and she was around somebody that had COVID. And I told my wife, I was like, we lived in a 1-bedroom at the time. I said, look, I was like, go to your mom's house, just in case I have it, because I don't want you to get it, because she was only. And those 2 days by myself at home were the most miserable days of. life. And I had to do a couple podcasts that day to have some sort of interaction. Like we talked on the phone, but it wasn't the same of having somebody there.
Yeah, I remember that too. I got COVID and I was out for like a whole week. I think it was over a week, and I got it bad. It hit me bad. I lost like all my I couldn't smell, taste anything. And I remember I had a fever for like a good 5 days. It hit me at night too. It was awful. And
Did
by the end of it, I was going mad. I was going crazy.
how long did it take for your taste and smell to come back?
I think it did take a while, probably like 2 weeks.
Wow, 2 weeks.
I can't really remember that much. I remember it slowly came back. So like it was like little things that I could suddenly start tasting again. So it wasn't all at once. And I think my smell was really messed up even like months after.
Mm.
Like my smell was kind of like distorted almost. Things smelled differently. And like whenever I got like a whiff of something bad, like trash or whatever, it always smelled like the same thing, but it wasn't what it was supposed to smell like. It was like a different odor, and it was always the same. It was driving me a little bit mad, but eventually that went away too.
My grandmother had throat cancer, and she lost her taste buds and the ability to smell. So she, I mean, she died like many years ago, but like I could just imagine how she felt. And now like people like you had to go through with it, and like it probably made you crazy because I know it made her go crazy. She had to eat baby food all the time to
Yeah,
because she couldn't eat anything solid.
yeah. By the end of it, I was so it was so frustrating. I don't know what word I could use to describe it, but I was done, man. I didn't know what to do because it was something so subtle, you know, but like, you know what it kind of smelled like? It smelled like old coffee. If you ever leave coffee out, like old used coffee, it was like that type of smell. So whenever I'd be near something that wasn't supposed to smell good, it was always that same smell coming back to me. And it was starting to get so irritating. And like
Mm.
I started to get like, fuck, like I don't want to, like I don't want this. Why? Like I didn't understand why it was that same smell over and over. It was driving me crazy.
Did you ever get COVID again after you had it the first time, or no?
If I did, it was probably a lot milder,
Okay.
but I never got diagnosed.
Wow. I don't think I had COVID. I mean, as far as I know, I don't think I had COVID. I whenever we got the vaccines, whenever I get sick, I get hit so bad to where can't like I can't stand because it hurts so bad. Like I feel horrible when I'm like sick, and I don't know if it's because of the shots I had, but I just feel weird every time, you know.
Right. So you got the boosters and you got all that stuff?
No, so my wife and I got the first shot, and then we got the second shot, and then after that I didn't get any more shots because like the way I looked at it is they're vaccines, yes, and they could help you, but in the long run, I don't think you need like a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth shot every year. It's kind of like a flu shot to me.
Yeah. I
But
never Do you ever get those flu shots? Like
no,
whenever the flu season is out?
I got the only time I got a flu shot was when swine flu was the thing back in '08.
Yeah. That was scary too.
It's
But
don't you find that weird though? With it's like every president or almost every president, there's some sort of like disease out there. Like there's
yeah,
like I think with Obama it was or Bush was swine flu, I believe. And then Obama was Ebola, Trump was COVID, and then Biden was the back half of COVID, and then monkeypox was that a thing?
I don't remember.
I can't
I mean,
remember. And
it's definitely a thing, but I don't remember if there was an outbreak. But
it was,
yeah,
I remember it was monkeypox. I remember that now.
yeah. There's some monkeypox, and what's the other one? There's another pox that's also kind of normal and well, it's monkeypox and some other type. But I remember getting something when I was a child, when I was smaller, and it was like there was like little bumps just everywhere. What is it?
Chicken pox?
Chicken pox. That's what it is? I think
Yeah.
that's what it was.
I never had.
Yeah, that one was scary.
I can
And I
imagine.
think Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a big deal. Like back when I got it, it wasn't a big deal to me. It's like, okay, I'm sick and whatever, I'll get better. But like I think it was supposed to be like somewhat of a serious illness or like disease. Or I don't know.
The whole thing with viruses is weird. Like, I always have like weird theories about these viruses, like the Black Plague, for example, or you know what I mean? Just like random viruses just pop in my head, and I always like have a theory, like why did they start and how did they start? You know?
Yeah. It's really weird. And I think too, some like a part of it is that's how we as a species get stronger. We as humans, like there's a virus, we kind of like a lot of people get sick, a lot of people die, but like it builds your immunity. It as like collectively as the human race, you start building up like your immune system, and gradually the human species starts to like collectively get stronger or like more immune to all these things. And that's how we survive. We adapt and evolve, and we're here.
What do you think it's going to be like in like 25 to 30 years? Do you think there's going to be like a nanobody that detects when we're going to get sick or something? Or
Definitely, there's definitely going to be something out there, and like a lot of us are probably going to die. But those who survive will be stronger for it. I don't know. Like our children are going to just be like superhumans.
it's scary though, just to think with like what's going on in the world, because I did read something about a nanobody being inserted in China somewhere, and they're testing these people. I can't remember what it was for, but it's like a nanotech going in their body, and they're gonna do some spectacular things.
Yeah, I would never do that. I would never submit myself to any of that.
Well, because you got to think of like the precautions, like what happens if like something, like, say they pay you like $50 million, that's not going to go to you, it's going to go to your family if you survive or if you don't survive, you know what I mean?
Right. I don't think I could go through with it. Like you can't pay me enough money to do that.
There's certain things you can't pay me enough money to do.
You know what I saw? One of my friends the other day, he sent me a link about like this transplant. It was some organ. I don't know what organ it was, but it was from a pig. And they took it from a pig and put it into a human. And I was like, bro, you cannot pay me enough money to do that. Like I don't want to be walking around with like a freaking with a pig organ in me. Like that's not cool. That's not okay to me. But like
Well, can you even survive from that?
apparently they're saying that pigs are so close to humans, the way a pig's like body works, it's very similar to a human body, so they can actually do transplants from pig to humans.
Wow.
But that's crazy though. That's crazy. It would drive me insane just knowing that I have a pig part in me. Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't do that either. That's insane.
But he was making good points. He's like, dude, I mean, would you rather not have that and die, or like you're there? It's literally gonna save your life. It's gonna prolong your life. So that's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, if it will save your life, but it's still
It can be good. I know even when it's like a transplant from human to human, there's still complications. Like they say that if you get like a kidney transplant from somebody else, your own body will reject like it. They have to give you drugs for your body not to kill that kidney because it'll attack it because it's a foreign entity inside your body. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. So your body tries to attack it. So what they have to do is give you drugs to stop that reaction from happening. It's crazy.
Well, you also got to think of this, like I was, my wife and I were talking. We were talking uh, about cancer patients, how they don't survive because you're getting so much radiation. The radiation is killing the cancer, but it's killing your body in itself as well, which is also, you know, a big
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah, there's really big downsides to all of those, like to all of those procedures. I've thought myself that if I ever get diagnosed with cancer, I would not go through chemo. Like I would just like let the cancer take me. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not doing chemo. But who knows? Like if the day were to come, I don't know. I might just be like, just give me the chemo. I don't I don't want to deal with this.
I've I was like with my grandmother who had it. I saw her go through that, and she progressively it got worse for her. Because she got the surgery at the age of 80, and it was to get the tumor out of her throat. And after that, it was just worse for her. It went downhill from there on out. Which she said, like, I don't want to go through with this, but I was being made to. So someone might make you go through with it, but don't
Yeah.
comply.
No, did you hear? There's a lot of articles coming out now that it's got to be more than one. There's been more than one doctors who were convincing people they had cancer so they would go through with the chemotherapy because I mean they were getting money from it. Like so, people with no cancer, healthy people, were getting told, were getting diagnosed with cancer
Really?
and given cancer treatment. There's
What?
been a couple, yeah. There's been a couple articles now, like on the news. There's like some doctors doing that.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Not
Like,
cool.
do they not like say like did they not say like, hey, like, can you give me proof?
I guess they can falsify the proof. Like what proof? Like when you go to the doctor, what proof do you like? A sheet of paper? You can put anything on a sheet of paper. You can just have a pre-made thing with lab results on a paper, print them out. Look, you have cancer. Like I
See,
don't think it.
well, that's the thing. Like, I haven't been to a doctor since I was 18. I'm 30 now, and like
Right.
I'm afraid to go because like with my luck, they'll say, oh, you got something like cancer or something. I'm just like, great. That's the last thing I want to know.
Yeah. I don't. I haven't been to a doctor in a long time too. And the only reason I would go is for like a major, like if there was something majorly wrong that I couldn't like just put it off. I'd go in there, but typically I try to just wait it out and do some at home stuff, and I'm usually fine.
We so where I live right now, we had a hospital. What was it? One, two. It was like three hospitals, and the company went bankrupt. Now we don't have any hospitals near us because the hospitals closed down. Like,
No way.
and there's only three hospitals in the area, and they're all, depending on where you live, you're either 20 minutes away or 20 minutes away the opposite direction. It's really crazy that like there's no hospitals around at all.
That's wild. Because I mean, whenever something bad, like really bad happens, I think surgery. If you ever need surgery for something, like I don't know, I think I value surgeons more than I do like doctors or general. I don't know, but I think for a lot of things that people go to the doctor for, there's really no need, or it's typically not a big deal. But I've seen there's like this hospital culture kind of where you have to go to the doctor for any like little reasons. I know um when my daughter was little, like her mom, and like if any little thing that happened to her, she'd be like, take her to the doctor like right away. Like she did not hesitate. And I'm like, she's fine. I just it's okay. It's gonna be all right. But like she wanted to go to the doctor for absolutely everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Doctors and surgeons kind of scare me in a way because like I don't know, my mom had surgery and they double dosed her when she with anesthesia, double dosed her, and she just didn't wake up at first. I mean, she's alive. I'm thankful that she's alive, but like the fact that they double dosed her made me think like they wanted to knock her from, you know what I mean, knock her off the face of the earth. I don't know.
And what
That's
happened? What happened with like how was she after they double dosed her? What happened to her?
she had to get emergency surgery. They double dosed her, and she got it at the place she works at. But she didn't wake up. She had to go to the ICU. They put her on like a breathing thing, and then she finally woke up after a few hours.
That's crazy. See, that's why I could never be a doctor. I'd be double dosing people left and right, like everywhere. Like you have to be on your, you have to log in and be on your game because you can't, you make those mistakes, then it's really bad.
I guess the thing that with me is like I'm scared to see like what kids of the future are going to do. Like we're in our 30s, and like I worry about what's going to happen in 10 years from now with the kids that are like turning 18 now. Like, how are they going to, like, are they going to be equipped to fly a plane or give a surgery? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, you know what I think? I think we're devolving as a species. Like evolution is over, kind of. I think we're slowly going. I started this episode talking about we're gonna be like this superhuman and like we're getting stronger because of our like diseases and immunity, but the opposite might be true. We're devolving as a species. We're getting dumber. We're getting weaker. We're getting, I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he would also tell you, all right, this is how you do a surgery. Like, I don't know. Like, you're right though. We are getting dumber as time goes on.
And I think doctors are a big reason why we're getting worse as species. Because back in the day, if people got sick, they would just die, right? Like and like if a kid was born with like deformities or deficiencies, like he wouldn't make it. So only the strongest babies would survive, and like you got like, but now, like I don't know, all of these, like the job of a doctor is to save everyone, and I don't know, like a kid who's born with like really bad deficiencies or like really like malformities will be able to like grow up and be an adult, but like their life will be so much harder, like with especially like if they maybe like a heart deformity or like it's something really bad. So I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. Like,
let me not get canceled right now.
hey, I mean, I've been canceled once or twice in the last time. I don't think I told you this, but so before we did the interview, I played my very first episode, but like I only played the first minute because my very first episode I talked about women and the flaws, and it was pretty much the pros and cons. And looking back at that episode, I was a depressed kid, like because I didn't even give any pros. I just gave mostly cons, like how they're always like on edge and and I had a women activist group after me for my junior year of college, which was pretty scary. Just like, we're going to come after you, and they wanted to cancel me because of that.
Yeah, I remember having like some really like really edgy beliefs back when I was younger too. It's so surprising. Like, how did you feel? Like I remember one time I looked at my old it was Facebook, like my old Facebook posts from like years back. I don't know what I was doing, but I was going back to my Facebook posts and I was just cringing so hard. I was like, why did I say all that stuff? What was that? Like, it wasn't even the same person almost. And dude, I deleted my Facebook immediately. I was like, no, I can't handle this.
I found an old YouTube video I was doing a gameplay, and it was so crappy because it was just like those little digital cameras just facing the TV. And I said something so bad, and I was like, "Oh man, I don't even have the password to it. I don't even know the Gmail. I can't delete the video because I can't figure out how to get rid of it." And like I'm praying to God that nobody like looks deep into me, or I get big enough to where they're like, "Oh, this was this guy's Facebook or YouTube in 2013." I'm like, "Yeah, I was a bad kid."
I don't know. I feel like some of my beliefs now might be worse. Some of them got worse, some of them got better, I think.
Well, it just comes with age. I mean, like when you're younger, you don't know what you really believe in, or you do, but it could be wrong. And then once you get older, your beliefs change and your mindset and all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but yeah, this like watching yourself is like watching old stuff is so cringy and wild. Like it's
I
an
cr-
entirely different person.
I was cringing earlier. I was even showing an old a coworker of mine the clip, and he was just like, "That was you." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That was back in 2015."
Dude,
He's like,
imagine what your 40-year-old self is gonna think like watching this. Like if you go back 10 years from now and you watch yourself today, like how are you gonna feel?
I probably would say like I was bad, like when it came to interviewing, or not. I mean, we're this isn't really like more like having a conversation. I feel like this like I hate watching and listening to myself, but I would go back just to see how it was, and
Yeah.
I would probably think I'm better than what I was 10 years ago, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a lot of actors have a problem with that too. Like I've heard a lot of celebrities say that they can't watch themselves. They can't watch the movies they're in, which
I
is
mean,
crazy.
it would be cool to watch your movie, but at the same time, I don't think I could. I mean, I have a hard time watching my own YouTube videos sometimes.
Yeah. Because you're so self-critical. I'm really self-critical.
Yeah.
Like every time I watch something like of me, I'm like, why did I say that? Or I could have said this, or I could have done it this way. Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's kind of
bad
like
for me.
I sometimes I'll actually go back and listen to my interviews to see how they are. And sometimes I'm always like, why did I ask it that way? Why didn't I ask it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we got about a few minutes before my next guest arrives. But yeah, no. Like I said, you've been around since 2021. You've been around since 2021, and that's when I started in the radio business in July because you came on in February of 2021, and then radio hit, and then we just kind of kicked it off from there. But no, I do want to say though, thank you for like everything you've done in the last 5 years. Has it been 5 years? 22, 23, 24, 4 years. Been around for 4 years. But yeah, I do want
Oh,
to say done for the last 4 years, like when it comes to doing voice stuff for me, and just being there and being a good friend. And hopefully one day I can get down to where you are. You can come up to me, and we could definitely meet in person.
yeah. No, it's been my pleasure, man. It's been my absolute pleasure, and I hope we get to work on a lot of other stuff in the future. And because I feel really bad because I'm no good at like all the stuff that I've done, but I'm like, I'll give it a try. We'll make it work. But yeah, no, it's my pleasure.
Well, you did the serial documentary. That was pretty fun. When you acted like you were a podcaster, and then you said you're so disrespectful. I was like,
Yeah, bro, I watched that too, and I was like, oh my god, I was overacting. Like, I didn't know what you were trying to do with it. So I think I was watching like some anime back in those days, and I was just like, okay, this is kind of like the vibe. So I made it like really intense. And I was like, oh man, I should have just made it like normal. I don't know. But
I mean, I watched that too. I thought it was fine. I mean, I
okay,
had
that's
it
good.
because I had my friend Bob in it as well because I knew Bob did YouTube and he had his own channel. So I was like, just portray yourself and see how it goes. And he let. I thought it was a pretty good documentary. It was something different from what I did, but
Yeah.
the joke about that was everyone thought I was a serial killer at my old job. So I was like, huh. I was like, let me see what I could do with it. And I came up with cereal as just like I'm killing boxes of cereal. That was the gimmick.
Yeah, I think I was like, well, I was a reporter, or somebody was asking me what I thought about you.
Yeah, it was something like I can't remember exactly. I would have to watch Cereal
Yeah.
part 2. I don't know if I would ever make a part 2.
No, but I love doing stuff like that. So yeah, I hope whatever you got, just throw it my way, and I'll try to be there.
Definitely. Well, hey, thanks again for everything, and we will definitely do a long form interview in the future. Probably sometime in September. But no, thank you once again, though.
Yeah, no, and congratulations on your 10 years doing this. It's a milestone.
And hey, maybe I'll continue to year 15. We'll see what happens. But,
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick little break, and I'll be back.
Now, I hope you enjoy this music performance from the 7-year anniversary show by a band formerly known as Stranger Than Normal.
All right, my next guest is John Johnson, aka John the Ninja, who I talked about multiple times on my show, and we actually met. What was it in 2021 for an event at Beasley Media Group? I believe it was.
About then, 2021, 22. Not saying I caught COVID and I got the dry fog, but yeah, about that time, man. Because you were, as many people come on and I've like helped train, you were pretty spot on. Like you didn't need no help. I was just there. I remember that vividly.
We went to an event at the Kimmel Center. It was.
Was it really? Was that the one with John DeBella, the first one? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
very first one. Because that was when we first met, and I remember I was so tired. I wanted to go to bed, and you were like, we should just grab a drink, because we were at the Kimmel Center. There was a bar where they were letting everybody in, if I remember correctly.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that. No wonder they were apprehensive of hiring me there. Yo, that's funny, because that is one of my most vivid memories. I didn't remember that was the first time we worked, but I do remember that whole shift where you kind of just, we met up, you were telling me about your life. I remember how reminiscent it was when I was starting out in radio. And then I remember, at least can't remember the details since now I'm finding out it was the DeBella show, but I do remember specifically you handling everything. Like I didn't have to be there. You know exactly what to do, how to do it. It wasn't your first rodeo. And I do remember the Kimmel event in itself. And I remember I was there the year before. So if I did say, let's get a drink or do this, it was off of seeing other people do it prior to. Because as you remember, a lot of those events are higher ups, especially like Battleship, New Jersey. They would just be drinking and having a good old time. We're just sitting there like, we're on the clock. So, yeah, man.
Well, you still, I mean, even when working with Andre, like he would always say, like, just go grab a drink, you know, I'll pay for it. And he would always let us drink. It didn't matter. And then whoever it wasn't Sean, but it was the other manager before she left. She would be so mad if like we would have a drink and it was like, well, Andre said it was okay, or this person said it was okay.
See, you can't trust nobody because the jocks are on a different spectrum. You know, they're there to have a good time. You know, that's basically their day off, even though it's not. For us, you know, we're still held to a different standard because, you know, promo, traffic, and, you know, the live set people. I forget what you call the jocks. I forget what you call the studio people, which is crazy. We're both studio people. But there's the three divisions, and we're all very, like, separated. So, of course, our boss is going to be like, what the hell? But I'll say this. If you ever had the opportunity to work for Donnie, man, I couldn't have started off with a better boss. But this ain't about Donnie. It ain't about John the Ninja. It ain't about Triple Goddess, who I'm wearing on my chest. It's about Tjay Gleason, man. Man, tell me some news, man. Congratulations. A decade of consistently going through the motions of just putting in hard work, man. I got to hear when this podcast of yours started, man. Like, what was the catalyst for this podcast? Because we both understand the grind, man, but you have been the most consistent and have seen the most success out of like what we do, man. So I need to hear where it really started as far as the podcast. Not so much a radio journey, we know that, but the podcast.
So it started in 2015 on YouTube, long time ago. And basically, so it wasn't even TJ TV before. It was literally TJ Talks. I don't even know who came up with that name or why that name came about, but it was just TJ Talks. And I guess like my whole goal in 2015, I wanted to be like Howard Stern, like back when he was like, you know, crazy and whatnot back in the 90s. So I would just pick up stupid topics and just, I didn't have a plan, didn't have anything. And I said this in the introduction, I didn't have a plan of what I was doing. I was just going off of the whim. Versus now where I actually have topics where I want to talk about and I research them and like, write down stuff that I want to talk about. And then, you know, push came to shove. YouTube wasn't going anywhere, went right to Facebook. That's where I got most of my traction because that's where all my friends would watch my, you know, stuff. And then Facebook lasted for 2016 to about 2019. Then I moved to Spotify and then that's pretty much, you know, off the whim.
And it's fascinating how time has changed. Like I've been lazy. I just post on YouTube, but it's funny to see like how those different time frames, like MySpace was first and then YouTube and then Facebook and then now Instagram, even though the videos are a little bit shorter in format, but they can be longer. It's just fascinating, man. But just a consistent grind, bro. Really proud of you, man. What I gotta ask this too. What was one of the coolest moments you've had that wasn't scripted? It was 100% by chance, and it was just so cool. Like I have one moment where John Bush of Armor Saint hopped on with me for my interview, man, and it was surreal. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it was really heart touching because I've been trying to get a hold of him for years, right? And you understand that grind.
Yeah.
So without any introduction of knowing who I was, without us talking, without any like, hey, give this to him to check out before the interview, man, he gets on, not even recorded, man, not recorded. It was just for John. He goes, John the Ninja. And I was just like, oh my God. Yeah. It was like, it was one of the most like it's not it's like a geek out moment, but there's a different term for it nowadays too. But I was over the moon for that because it was unscripted and that was something for me. So I need to know a moment like that for you that was just so great, just a perk out of what we do for fun, you know.
I don't know, like, because I had so many great moments that were unscripted. Like the one guy, I'm trying to think. There's this girl on TikTok. It was in 2020, and I used to watch her boyfriend all the time because he was on YouTube. Then he went to TikTok, and I commented on her video like from like a month ago, and she was just like, we met before. I was like, what do you mean we met before? She was like, you commented on my old TikTok video. I was like, did I? She's like, yeah. I was like, which one was that? And then she got into it because so she was 17. She had a sister who was my age. And I commented on her video because I was like, let me see if I can just see if it, she'll reach out. She's like, yeah, I didn't know if you were legit or not, but now that you emailed me in a professional manner, now I know that you're for real. So like that's why I decided to come on your show. I was like, oh, I was like, that's it. That was actually pretty cool.
Man, that's I wish it was that easy because now it seems like you're better off just going through the socials. Like you have a better chance of just asking on the socials than you do an email, man. I've had a couple of people like get back to me instantly, like, yeah, let's rock this. I'm just like, what was the two years of emailing your people worth for this? Man, but still, it's been a wild ride, man. Where are you now? Are you still in that Howard Stern feel? Like I was always opposite. I always admired him when he was kind of able to manipulate, not saying in a bad way, but kind of guide the conversation to get his question answered. It's like, you know what? I would have thought this. Like, is that how it made you feel? Because I would have. And then they kind of go like, yeah, know what, Howard? That's exactly how I felt. Or no, not quite, Howard. But he's still guiding. Or how Pierre makes somebody feel so, for the people that don't know, Pierre Robert, 93.3 WMMR, genius. Or even, who's the WHYY lady? Terry Gross. Who's also a master at getting people to feel so open with them and being able to like really, ask those questions that not everybody else would think about. But then it's like, oh, hey, where are you at on your interviewing style now?
I guess you could say I still go with Howard Stern in a way, like, and I kind of put like a little Joe Rogan in there because like if you notice with Howard, he just does question and answer format and kind of relates to what they're talking about. When it comes to Joe Rogan, he just shoots the shit with somebody. Like if he had Shane Gillis on or whatever, he doesn't talk about what Shane Gillis is promoting. He's just really talking about aliens, smoking pot, UFOs, whatever. So it's kind of like I'm using those two formats and kind of twisting it into my own way, versus where like I was just talking about a topic and like saying, oh, there's a hot mom over there. I would have slept with her and her daughter or something like that. Or I would have killed those kids with sex. Like, it's just like, it's not like that. It's just more of the interview style between both of them and just, twisting it in my own way.
Outrageous, but your own style of being it. Man, that's an interesting take on that. Because low key, like, I prided myself on always like hitting that one thing. I always try and leave it to the tail end of the interview because, that's why they're there. So get everything important at the end before they have to go. They usually take a little bit more time. And fun fact, if you don't have a heart out, if they're really passionate about that project, sometimes they'll give you a little bit extra time than allotted. So I had to evaluate that recently because I had a lady on. She was a sweetheart. And we were going through, like, she's been through hell and high water. Like, all those stereotypes of shot, stabbed, no money, survival, all of it. She survived. And it sucked because we were having such a great conversation. She had a wonderful charity where they like donate. It's basically a farm, and then they donate the meat of the cows afterwards to homeless or these people in need. So after that, I was like, okay, I got to hit the spread because she did modeling, and then it kind of tanked the conversation. Like you could see like the happiness of what we were talking about just kind of died with like, oh yeah, we did that. Yeah. So anyway, I was like, ooh, do we have to hit everything every time? Yeah, but that's why we reach out to them. We want to promote them. That's kind of the beauty of it too, man.
I had this one guest. She was in the movie Prom Night in 2008. I almost said 2018. Yeah, she was in the movie in 2008, and she wrote a book about sex, love, and the dark side of Hollywood. And in this book, she talked about sleeping with two guys, one from LA and one from New York. So I decided, like, hey,
is this time or is this a different times? Because
no, this was about 2 or 3 years ago.
No, I'm talking about her sleeping with them because now I'm confused. I'm like, well, was this at the same time? Or are you comparing the difference in the cities? Or like, not trying to take away from her story. I'm just, I'm curious to how that came about for her writing.
Well, this was 10 years ago when she was telling this. So she wrote the book. It came out a couple of years ago, but she was telling the story about things that happened to her 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, which was probably the stupidest thing to ask. I said, hey, does size matter? Because she's married to a guy now and she has a kid. And I figured, she's not going to care. She wanted me to cut that out.
Okay.
Which, I respect it. I cut it out, which was fine. But at the same time, the way I looked at it is if you're writing a book about sex and love and writing about, having sex with these two guys, I wanted to ask. I was curious, and she gave me a direct answer and she didn't like the answer or the question that I gave, but, she said it,
No, that's fair that you cut it out because apparently I told you recently, and the fans don't know. I just had an interview with somebody, and it was a question on a controversial topic. As a journalist and as a person of color, I felt that was warranted because it tied so well into what we were promoting. I had to ask it on all those grounds. It was perfect 1, 2, 3. So a little bit of mix of hey, while we're promoting this happened. This could have affected. How do you feel about it? And he gave a wonderful, wonderful. And when I say apology, I don't mean an apology in a way of hey, I'm sorry, somebody else did this. But he gave an apology as an explanation, the actual meaning of that term. And it was so beautiful. It soothed my soul. I was like, oh, what a wonderful guy. I really felt like he nailed it out the park with everything I knew from it prior to, and to everything that was explained to me and everything that he knew as well. He did a perfect job. And I was just like, that's fantastic. And the media outlets picked it up and totally twisted it, made it way worse than it should have been. I thought it was going to be something that literally sat there, watched. And I was like, you know what? I'm very conscious over these things. This was an amazing statement by him. And they twisted it. They twisted it with a headline and they asked me to take it down. And I didn't know at the time why they asked me to take it down. I just got a text via my social media, be like, hey, take it down, please. I was like, no problem. I didn't ask. I didn't do nothing. But as soon as I did, then the PR rep emailed me. And then I checked out the headlines and saw what happened. I was just like, oh no. But I understand too, because, as you were dealing with her, she probably said it thinking it was no problem, but then afterwards had a little reservation as well. And what I thought at the time, before I saw the headlines of what happened, I thought maybe that's what it was. That's a subject, we can cut it out, but it's very respectable for you to at least honor that. I didn't know this at the time until I had that conversation with the rep, but a lot of people don't they get something juicy or they get something really good. They just kind of throw that person under the bus. Even when they're asked to please take it down. It's kind of effed up, man. But I always look at it they're giving us time to not only have that opportunity to promote them, make them money, but it's also kind of for us as a fan, we're joining them at whatever capacity. We're technically kind of joining the band, even though we're not in the band, but we're having that time with them. So, for them to allow us to be a part of that band's legacy, no matter how minor, to try and help them make money and promote themselves, I was devastated. I was very upset, even though I did nothing wrong. And I double checked everything, make sure hey, is this okay? Can I do this? Try to reach out to certain people, make sure I can make things better. Do you want me to make a statement to help? But I just remember thinking, like, you know what? Like, you're still heartbroken because you want nothing but good for the people that you interview that have treated you kindly. And to see that happen, you're kind of like, wow, you know, it breaks your heart. So for her, you to take it off for her, you know, that's admirable, man. That's a good dude thing. Little wild to ask that question. You know, she was a lady, but that's a different story. You said Howard Stern. We're sticking with Howard Stern, so I ain't judging.
He was the idol growing up. I mean, that was the goal, but like, no one could be as good as he was, and that's what like I couldn't. That's what I couldn't grasp at the beginning. Like, I thought like, you know, I was going to be the number one, this, that, and the third, and then I realized, well, look, no one could be good like he was, but you could be something as good as he is. You know what I mean? You could probably make it better, like, or as good as him.
You know, that's a good way to put it too. I never thought that far. I'd be sitting there, I guess, because my goal wasn't really to be like him when I started. I just wanted to do that. I wanted to be my own entity, I guess. I just knew that I could do this is the first time in my life like I knew I could do it, make money, and have a job I would enjoy. So I think I was so gun-ho, like I need to make my own legacy. I need to make this. I need to do this for my name. So I was so big on getting IDs too. That's another stupid thing back in the day. Getting IDs, man. I have some fabulous IDs and they're so great, but I was like, damn, if I just changed it to John Johnson, it might make it a little easier than John the Ninja. But I do. It's fascinating, man, because the people we look up to and just mold our own style after. It's very, very interesting.
And that's the thing. Like, I think whenever I get on air, it's not if, it's whenever I get on air, I'm going to do my own thing. Like you have Jackie Bam Bam, for example. He does his own thing. He doesn't care. Like, he'll talk about whatever. And I think that's like what I kind of want to do. Like, if I'm like on MMR or, you know, 1029, I'm going to make it my own way. Like, because, you know, with like the host, they just talk about music. I want to talk about what's going on in my personal life and then throw in some music with it. Like, hey, last night I was at the bar and this song came on and I didn't realize how much sentimental value it meant, but this is one song I could really jam to when you're at the bar drinking. Here is Don't Fear a Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult.
You know what? That's the beauty of where we're at too, or at least where I was at. You're still there as far as I know. But so I told you about wrestling psychology, how they like are in the ring and they're able to manipulate the crowd to get hooked into it. You know, they do things to get their attention, whether it's a big move or something stupid and I noticed that because I ain't gonna hold you. I ripped Jackie off, I ripped Pierre off, I ripped all of them for my radio show at the Goodbye Cabrini. It's no longer there. Eastern's still there. That was my school. But I DJ'd at this school called Cabrini that was across the street from my college, Eastern University, which shared a radio station with Villanova, 89.1 WYBF Cavalier Radio. And I ripped them. Man, I have to this day 4-hour-long sessions, 4-hour-long shows where it would start with an intro, just like all those guys. We would start with the new music. Then we would talk either current events, like rock news and current events. Then we would go into more music. And then like at the final hour, it would be that metal hour. And depending on whether or not I had an interview to do, because I used to do the interviews on there too, we would, this is one of my favorite things. I had this bit, the sound bit from a Slayer show I had. So we've had two bits. We had the one drunk Slayer guy, just like, cause it's Slayer, effing Slayer, blah, 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 effing Slayer, you know, this. And then my one friend, his name is Zach. He's done a lot of my air audio things I play to this day on the YouTube. I was bothering him during the break. So he was so upset. And it was just the funniest thing I could remember. I was just like, hey, we're 89.1. And they were doing sound check. He's like, this is a terrible time for that. I was like, come on, Zach, get into the moment. He's like, it's 89.1, John. I don't know what the hell we're going to do. We're at sound check for Slayer, but apparently it's Slayer. Slayer! And then as soon as he hit that last line, I would always punch. It was always that, you know how tight, for the fans that don't know, when you press buttons in radio or TV, like the idea of being tight or at least so seamlessly into the next thing is huge. So it would always be a battle between him saying Slayer and that audio cutting, because it would be dead air a little bit, and then hitting that song. And usually it would be War Ensemble, but then again, I would change it up with different Slayer songs. And then of course you play all the other, you know, 80s, 90s heavier metal sounds, you know. But yeah, I ripped those guys off, man. You're a better man than me. I was still me, but I ripped the hell out of their format.
You want to hear one of the most embarrassing radio stories that I've ever done in the history of MMR radio?
Listening loud and clear.
So I was talking with Jackie, and he was like, "I'm going to put you on air," and I didn't like. This is like before I knew like how things worked. And he was like, "All right." He was like, "All right, 93.3 WMMR. I'm Jackie Bam Bam here, and I'm here with Tjay." And he threw me off because I was in the middle of texting Tori and my like family. He was like, so I was freaking out because I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then like he said, "Now there's a band that used to be called the Motley Bros." I knew it was Motley Crue, but I said I don't know the band's name on live radio. And I got ripped by Tori. I was like, "Oh shit!" Because when you hear Motley, I was like, "Wait a minute!" I was like, "I know this," but I was so freaked out because when he put me on, I wasn't ready for it. You know what I mean?
I do, because he does that for all the new kids and the talent. He did that to me, and I even had it written down. And when I heard the air check afterwards, it did not sound that bad. Like I knew where I messed up, but you can never tell on the air check. But yeah, man, I didn't know what to do, and I've been on the air MMR twice, and he was one of them. And then Kevin Reardon, God bless him as well. He's still around. He works for Amazon now, but randomly threw me on the air. And here's a fun fact about WMMR. I always tell people. So as big of an AC/DC fan as I am, I just saw them recently. That's a poster, $75, only because they didn't have a program. I was super hot pissed. As I was stating, WMMR is one of the few rock stations, if probably the only rock station in the country that I can guarantee has the original version of Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap playing. It is the Australian LP that they originally released, and it's a very minute difference between the one that everybody knows from the American release from the 80s that everybody hears and the Australian LP. Near the end where Bond's doing like Cyanide, TNT done dirt cheap, they go into a longer version before they go into that nice little that ending part everybody knows. It's just 2 more bars of Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap, and MMR is one of the few places that has it and plays it. And I told him that, and he put me on the air to explain that, and he did. That was incredibly kind. Even to this day, look how giddy we're getting just to be on the radio, and they do it every day. We've done it thousands of times, but to do it at that place, it kind of solidifies us in that history. It's pretty cool.
My first time on air, which I'm probably going to put this after the interview, because this is a good. Oh, hi, Tori.
Tori! Oh my God! Sorry, Lord. I know that was in vain. I'm a bad Christian, y'all. Don't let my bad representation of Jesus make him look bad. All right? Jesus is love. Loves everybody. You should love everybody.
What was I? I was saying the first time I was on air was with Andre, which I'm going to put it in after this. But I wasn't nervous with Andre. He made it feel very like he made you feel welcome. And same with Jackie too. Like I'm not saying Jackie didn't, but like Andre, like you knew with Andre when you were going on because he was like, "All right, you're coming on after this." Jackie just threw you on. I was like, "Oh shit."
Jackie's all over the place, man. Like the talent that man has, because there's an industry secret we're not going to relay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But his talent to do that and then go live on the air and then do other things along with that while making sure everything's playing. And then he has this book, just this huge book of CDs that he's physically playing, not off of the system, which is probably pissing Chuck off or whoever's doing the system now. It was very interesting to see how he operates. It's very fascinating to see how Pierre operated. Like it's not a joke. He's a mess, papers everywhere beforehand, but he's so good at prepping and knows what he loves that when he turns the mic on, it's like nothing goes derailed. Everything's still on time. Everything's perfect. And then seeing like Preston and Steve that have their crew style, and then especially Jackson when he was at WMMR too, laid back, chill. Something needed to be fixed. He didn't even just him just fixed. Just even Matt Court. I would say one of my favorite pleasures at MMR, and this is actually a fun fact. I don't get to tell this story. One of my favorite days at WMMR, I loved watching Matt Cord work. That's another guy that's just smooth, chill, in the moment. And one time Pierre was out, and it was like a snow day. I didn't have class. It was snowing outside. I got to interview him. I didn't record it. I wasn't smart enough at the time to record. I was just doing interviews to try and meet people. So I got a great interview from him that I did not record because I was stupid at the time. I'm smart. I'm knowledgeable now. But had a great interview with him. Pancake was chilling. Sarah was there chilling. He threw them on the air, threw me on the air. It's like, hey, John, or like he said, Ninja. I said, yo. And I was literally, after that interview, we chilled, and I was in the booth of that hollowed Studio R, I think it's called now. But the next door studio where they do the vinyl cut. I just spent the rest of the day in there editing and making stuff up. And it was one of those really, really good days. And then there was others, like with other appearances with Pierre. But that was the first, like, wow, I'm really here doing this right now day.
Yeah. And it's crazy, too, because, like, when you meet these guys, like, it's weird. Like, I guess me growing up listening to these guys, like, they're celebrities to you when you're listening to them. Yeah. But these guys in general, they're the nicest people you could ever meet.
Yeah, man, I got lucky. I want to say this not just for the radio station, but the people I've interviewed on my podcast, man. If they weren't my hero, they became my hero. A lot of my guests, I have 2 interviews that I wish I could still apologize for. It wasn't one interview. It was just me not being prepared. Not like I didn't do my research, but I was not ready as an interviewer. So it could have been better. And I look back at some of the things I said and I cringe and I wish I could go back. But the kindness that individual outstretched to me, it was one of my biggest videos for a very long time. And the band did wondrous stuff for me. And I was so grateful. And then another one too is like, aside from the one I mentioned earlier, there was another interview. It's just like, hey, could you fix this or you can change that? And I remember because it was all social media related and I was having a hell of a day. My situation, we can't relay that out now. I'm on Secret Service, not like government stuff, but I'm doing some stuff to make my name out there. And I was having such a stressful time with other things, including trying to post. And I kept on posting the band's name wrong. It was Black Like Satellite. I kept on misspelling it. I kept on messing up things. And he was like, hey, dude, you mind just changing this real quick? And then I sent it, hey, I'm so sorry, and sent it again. And he was like, hey, it's still wrong. Like he was so gracious with me and my time and just understand. I don't know how he knew I was bugging out, but he knew. So big ups to Black Like Satellite. If you guys don't know that band, you need to check them out right now. Black Like Satellite. All right. You Can Do Better is that song. But I always think about that, man, because how many stories of people, even when Billy Corgan came through and I got to meet him, I was warned that he might not be in a good mood. He might be in a good mood. And he was one of the chillest, kindest dudes you could have ever meet. And so every time I met my heroes or somebody else's heroes, especially, it's always been, a blessing. They've always been kind to me. Never had a bad experience with a celebrity or a hero of mine. So it's just a blessing, man. So meet your heroes. At least take the chance.
Yeah, because you never know. Like you never know if you'll ever get a chance. Like I've missed so many shots. Probably probably in 2015, 2014 era where I could have been. I could have been further in my career because like when I did karate back in the day, I remember my instructor was like, "Hey, there's this we're doing a demo for like Fox 29, I think it was." And I was thinking like that'd be a really great opportunity just to meet these people at Fox 29, get my name out there. My dad made me work that day, and I was so mad. And I really wish I didn't work with him because like I could have just called out at whatever job I was. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming in. I really wish I could have done that.
You know what? You never know. It's back to the Tony Iommi story, man, because I'm a big metalhead. It's like his mom told him the reason he had his finger chopped off, even though it was his last day, because he was going to go play in a rock band, is because his mom told him, like, hey, go to work, and then chopped off his finger, and then now that's like history. So you never know how I say God, because I'm a Christian. Jesus has been good to me, and I know other people, but the universe or however you expand your reality. I always say, like, sometimes when it's a situation like that, you just kind of go, like, you don't know what could have happened in the negative. I remember Jumpin' Joe Stevenson back to 89 WYBF. He was the jock. He was the Pierre there. Years. Met everybody we could think of. Danzig, Metallica, all these big names he had rapport and pictures with. So I was telling him about this, one of my favorite stories. It's funny joke, but I was distraught. The first time I saw Iron Maiden was in 2016. I remember it so vividly because I was just about to graduate college. So I had 2 more papers due, and I was going to go see Iron Maiden by myself at the Garden. Never been to the Garden like that, never drove to New York by myself. So it was a lot. So I went to the show. I saw my friend who was up there. I enjoyed the show, but I met this beautiful, beautiful artist. And there was some sparks. I didn't get them often. So I knew for a fact, like, hey, you know, we're flirting and talking here. You know, so what happened was, like, before the show started, we were talking, and she was telling me, like, oh, you know, I was supposed to come with my brother, but he couldn't come. He had to eat the ticket, and I bought the ticket and his flight. And I'm sitting there like, how much were the tickets for? Like, the tickets for Maiden were like $300 at the Garden. We were floor. I had to pay $400 for resale. She was like, well, his plane ticket was like $800. I was like, wait, $800? Oh, so you sell that kind of art? $1,000 a piece? Hello. You know, she was telling me she was from Jersey, and through that show, you know, you get closer to people, or you're protecting people, or this or that, you're sharing things. So at the end of the show, after enjoying it, I was sitting there because we were still, you know, somewhat connecting, and I was just like, I knew I had to go to class in the morning because we had a quiz. And by the end of that show, I convinced myself I could skip the quiz, and if I could at least take her home in my car because she was taking the train, I'd be good. So back to it, you know, I remember show just ended. If my hand is her, you know, this is the back of her head, this is the front, right? So I was like, all right, this is great. So she looks at me. I was like, look down. I was like, that was a great show. She's like, yes. I was like, all right, I'm gonna ask her out. Literally within that time span, she was gone. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I turn around, and I can understand why parents would freak out with their kids missing. Like, a sea of people, no way to find her. I was just like, oh. And I was like, God, if that was you protecting me, please just let me see somebody I saw earlier. Funny enough, met a guy from NYU, a D1 player that was going there too. And I saw him again, and he's like a tree. He's like 6'8", 7. And I was like, God, I know it was you. So that's my heartbreak story. But I was telling him that story, story within a story with John. It always is. I was telling Jumpin' Joe Stevenson about that. And he was telling me, he's like, hey, you don't know if God was protecting you. Because I had one buddy, loved this chick for years, man, was on her, constantly trying to get with her. She never wanted him. And then I want to say maybe 10 years later, he got with her, and he was so happy. And then like a week later, found out she gave him herpes. I was like, that's a hell of a left turn. So you don't know if that Fox News situation would have been like a bus hitting you, or, you know, finding the wrong person. You never know. So I always, after that story, especially because I'm a germaphobe, I was like, oh yeah, thank you, God. I didn't know. Thank you for protecting me. But it's one of those things. Like, yeah, I get that, man. There was I just literally had a moment too where I just missed a celebrity that I knew prior to we lost contact, and I was trying to see him. And by the time I got to where he was, I was like 10 minutes late. But I met somebody else, and I did a couple other things. So I was like, you know, it wasn't for me. He'll catch me on the up end. So you just gotta stay positive about those things, man. Look where it's gotten you. I think you're doing pretty great.
Well, we're running low on time. We got like a minute or so.
Let me do this because I know you got to go. I apologize, but I do have to interject this. What's the best piece of advice somebody's given you that sticks with you? That's usually something I always have in my interviews with. I was curious, after these 10 years, after all that you've been through, after everything you're still accomplishing, you know, what's some advice? What's like a mantra, a phrase, something that you just in the back of your head every day that kind of helps you keep on going, man? Whether it's positive day, negative day, it's just something you hold close to your heart.
So I was always told never give up, but growing up, when I told I'm not going to say who, because I learned in the 10 years never to really throw out there. But anyways, I was told by specific people, never don't go in the radio, don't do your podcast. It's not going to get you anywhere, which it has. I've had a couple sponsors in the last like 10 years of doing this, and they left because of whatever I've said. But in any event, don't go into podcasting, don't do this, that, and the third. And when people say don't do something, it makes it puts like a fire in me, and it makes me want to keep going. Cause like I know I could prove these people wrong. Like I had a famous guy who was on the Jackass movies. He filmed for them, and he came to my parents' house just randomly. He rode his bike to my parents' house because he lived right around the corner, and he did an interview. And that was like a good moment in my life. And I'm like, you know what? If I can get this guy to ride his bike to my house, I can get anybody on. So when people say like you're never going to make it, this sucks, I'm going to keep going because I know it's going to get better as time goes on.
Man, that's usually a projection of them seeing what they wanted to do and couldn't, man. But I've seen also how encouraging you are to other people. You don't brag about it, but I've seen you go out of your way to encourage others or say something positive when, even I'm thinking, and I'm not, I try and understand everybody's situation, but you said something one time when we were working to somebody, then I was like, wow, you know what? That even lifted my spirits, man. Way to be able to console this person, because we're just kind of sitting there like, what do we say? So I think that's a lot of that good energy you give people right back to them, But I've always enjoyed the fact that as a person, me, that loves to encourage people and loves to, little bit of honey will take them farther than a little bit of sour. Some people need that thrive of like, I'm gonna beat you, and then other people have that thrive of like, I just need a little encouragement. I like being the one that encourages. But every time I'm with you, man, you always say something that encourages somebody or the person you're talking to. You do it subtly, but it's like it's like magic. You can see that person you're talking to catch it and kind of have a smile, whether it's like a grin or like whatever. It just somehow something about the way you deal with people, man. You're able to get them that good feeling, which I always appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. I do want to say thank you for everything in the last 4 years that we've been, friends and all that. And, it's been a great ride.
Man, your math is better than mine. I was like, shit, when did I meet TJ? 2 years ago? 3 years? I don't even know. I'm like, goddamn, he's just always been a fixture. Man, again, like I said, even when I was bitching and hollering at you about my problems, man, I think it's severely misrepresented how kind it was for you to hear me complain and moan at the time, because you knew my situation, and then to like now I'm doing a lot better, and very grateful, especially considering it was radio and podcast related, man. So that's why I always hold you in high esteem. You always been there too. So it hasn't been a one-off, and it's been a mutual respect and appreciation.
Definitely. Well, thank you again. And we're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Before y'all do, subscribe to his stuff.
Subscribe.
Philadelphia's Classic Rock 102.9 MGK. I already put my order in for a second helping of Queen this weekend. Oh, can't wait to, particularly something from Jazz. I just love that album so much. That's Fat Bottom Girls. I'm Andre Gardner, and that was a delightful long set of classic rock that we call the Commercial Free at 3 that we do every afternoon here at 102.9 MGK. And it is very happily brought to you by Harris Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Remember, when things go wrong, go to callharrisnow.com. Well, before we go to our next set, I want to give some major props out to a guy named Tjay, who is running the board for us right now at MGK. He's learning the ropes around here. Might even be a producer one of these days, but he's currently on the MGK Rock Squad. Are you enjoying the experience here, Tjay?
Yes, I am.
Are you not bored out of your mind?
No, not at all.
All right, fantastic. Great. So you like playing the music and keeping it going here at MGK. We got a long set coming up next that we're going to kick off with. It's going to be some Stevie Nicks and Don Henley. Are you up to the task?
I always am.
You always are, brother man. That's coming up next.
right, I'm with Jordan Klupp, who's been on my show multiple times, actually, like at least 3. And she's on Cookie Monster Radio. She has 3 shows. She just informed me. She also has 2 podcasts, which I don't know if you're still doing, Girls Uncensored. But how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a long day. It's been a long week.
Yes, it has, and it's not over yet.
Well, tomorrow's a new day. But how have you been? So you're doing You're doing the radio station, and you're doing 2 podcasts still, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still doing Girls Uncensored. We're just doing it every once a month because all the girls, we're all doing our own thing now. So, like, my one friend's in college. She's doing summer classes. And then me, I have a full-time job at Cookie Monster Radio. And then I'm also babysitting until next week. So I have a lot going on. But, yeah, so we're kind of just trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, because it's been a while since you guys posted an episode. But didn't you guys do an episode a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I kind of lost that because I got a new computer. So I need to find that eventually when I have the time. But yeah, no, I actually lost that audio.
You lost the audio?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that it was just in my download somewhere. I always miss stuff, so I'm hoping that's the case on that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, that I've lost a few audio files in my day doing this for 10 years. You can imagine the things I've lost.
Yep, it sucks. I think this is just the beginning of it, so I'm trying to get the vibes going with it and just hopefully find it because I need that.
So, but didn't you do an interview with a country singer, like a famous one?
Yeah, I interviewed Holden Barter. He was born in Houston and he grew up in Philly and then he moved to pursue his careers. And he's a country singer. He's great. He's very much of an Eagles fan and a Phillies fan, and that's kind of how I found him. I found him on Instagram, and I found his Phillies Ring That Bell song that he did, and I was like, this is good. So then I started looking into him, and then I followed him, and then I was following him for a while, and then I just DM'd him, and he got back to me.
Wow. How long has he been in the music scene?
I feel like it's been... He said 6 years, but I think he said this is his first time traveling and doing tours. As I know of, I might be wrong. There's a lot going on. So, but yeah, I'm actually seeing him tomorrow, which is Friday. I'm seeing him at the XU anniversary show. He convinced me to go because I want to go see him I want to see him. So then I'm seeing him there, and I'm also seeing him Barefoot Country Music Festival. That is in 2 weeks. So I have a lot of concerts coming up and a lot of work to get done.
So, are you going to meet him backstage or no?
I don't know. I guess we'll just see what
how-
it is. I have no idea. I'm walking into this very just going. I'm just going, So we'll see.
I can't believe that the festival's on a Friday. It used to be on a Saturday.
Yeah, I know. I was like, but it's fine. It's all right. I can handle.
You can
I can
handle.
try to handle it all. But no, yeah, I have a lot coming up. I'm super excited to see him in concert because I've been listening to his songs for a while. So I'm really excited to see that. So yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, no, I never heard of the guy. I mean, I started listening to country when I started working at XTU, and I kind of became a little selfish because I was like, man, these songs are actually really pretty good.
Yeah. I love country.
Have you always grown up on country or no?
Yeah, I literally have grown up with country all my life. And then, of course, 80s and, all of that, and 90s and 2000s, but mostly country. Yeah. Which I have my own country music show on Friday nights at cookiemonsterradio.com.
And what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for that? Is it just country?
Just country music, how you do it, where you go in and, we have a lot of dedications now. They're filling up. So I'm always on there talking. And yeah, it's really fun. I love it. I mean, I have such a passion for country music. So being there and doing it is so much fun, and there's so many people that really love it, and there's a lot of good feedback on it. So
Yeah, I did an internet station for a while, and it was all 50s, 60s, and 70s, and a little bit of 80s.
yeah, we're doing it is 70s, 80s, and 90s music. I guess like to now, I guess. But my country shows 80s to now.
80s to now.
Oh, yeah. So I was like, oh, I already have to learn a lot. So I was like, we're just gonna keep it like that because I do know some of my 80s country singers. So I was just I just kept it like that.
My mom used to listen to XTU and a bunch of country music, like back in the day, constantly, and it fucking drove me nuts.
Now you're working there, so
Yeah, well, the newer countries, I feel like it's better than the older country. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess you could say I have a better appreciation for the older stuff now too, because I didn't really care about music when I was growing up, like especially country. I mean, I listened to it 24/7 with her. So now it's just kind of like I'm enjoying it, you know?
yeah, no, I love it. It's amazing. So much fun too. So I remember when I like do all my shows, I'm like dancing when even doing I'm like, oh my God, Jordan, focus. But no, I have a great time. It's definitely one of my babies. That show is like my baby and it's close to my heart. So I kinda yeah, it's just amazing. I love it. Which there is a little twist to it. So you know how I have real talk with Jordan?
Yeah.
Well, I have real country with Jordan now. So we kind of kept it a theme so then people could understand, like, could know me from Real Talk with Jordan, but now Real Country with Jordan. So it kind of has the same twist to it. But I think that was a very good idea for me to do because I think that's honestly how people know me by. So, yeah.
And Talk with Jordan plays on Tuesday nights, right?
Yeah. Real Talk with Jordan plays on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then following after Brian's show, which is my boss, DJ Brian, he is on Fridays from 7 p.m. to 10, and I'm on from 10 to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also filling in for him, so I'll be on this Friday night, and then yeah. So I've been doing it for the past 2 weeks now. I love it because I'm getting such a different practice because like I'm so used to just doing one podcast and it's like an hour long. And like I'm used to just doing 2 hour like an hour of country music. But now I have 3 hours worth of shit like recording that I do. Not even recording because I'm all live, but um it's just so fun because I'm pushing myself to like bigger and better things and being here showed me how much I get appreciated and I actually do work. So I love it. So, but yeah, it's great.
You're doing a lot of stuff then.
Yeah, a lot. I'm learning a lot quickly.
Yeah, sorry about all the background noise, but
No, you're fine. She's a puppy. She's ready to play.
yeah, I know. It's every time, like, I tend not to do video just because, like, whenever she pops up out of nowhere, everyone's like, oh, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Uh.
other than that, yeah, so that's interesting, though. Like, cooking, like, how did you even get that?
I started an account on TikTok, which is still very private and I still don't talk about it, but TJ, you know about it.
Yeah.
They interviewed me to talk about that account. And then once I talked to them, I also told them like what else I do. And then we started off with just Real Talk with Jordan, and then it kept just getting bigger and bigger and then expanding. And they really liked like my personality, so they loved me on air. And then after that, it kind of just unraveled, and now I do 3 shows right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened. It was really good and it was really quick, but I was like joking with them one day and I was like, yeah, like if you ever need a country music person, like I'm always here. And they're like, oh, like you want to do country, like you want to do a country show? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, cool. When do you want to start? And I was like, and they were like, it'll be Fridays after my show. And I was like, okay. So then I came up with everything.
Now with Real Talk, are you using your older episodes and posting them, or are you doing that live?
So what I'm doing is Real Talk. They don't know anything from season 1. So what I do is, so with Girls Uncensored and Real Talk with Jordan, I actually put out seasons. So season 1 was 2024, and now we're in season 2. It's 2025. Only because it's kind of helps me organize my stuff. So right now they're only seeing new episodes live.
That's kind of what I've been doing with TikTok and my YouTube. Like I've just been kind of
Yeah.
like the TikTok video first, and then like a month or two later post the same video but on YouTube and like say, hey, this is a new series I'm doing, pretty much, yada yada yada.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because I have to keep reminding myself, like, okay, like they don't know stuff that you've done in the past. You have to remind them, so there's a lot of me like reminding myself, like, remember, they haven't been here from the jump. So yeah, but it's fun. I love it, and I love advocating for mental health, and it kind of gives me another way to help people out. So I'm not complaining. We love Real Talk with Jordan, even though it's a pain in my butt right now. Because I've been doing it for 2 years now. So there's a lot that comes into it.
No, I would imagine. I mean, I've listened to a few of your episodes, and you seem very genuine when you're talking.
Yeah, I definitely am, and I'm mostly always by myself. So I'm just like looking up into space, like, and then just like talking. Like, it's sometimes like I'm like, oh my god, I'm losing my train of thought. Like, Jordan, what are you doing? But it's okay. I'm usually pretty good with it. It just depends on if I hear something outside and I'm trying to figure out what it is, and then I'm like, oh, it's kind of like ADHD issues, you know?
Yeah,
But
no, a lot.
but yeah. But no, I really love it. I mean, it's giving me a different kind of look on life, and it's getting me in the door. And I don't plan on leaving. I love it there. And yeah.
And this is like a full-time thing for you too, right?
Yeah, this is a full-time job.
Now, do you ever think you're going to go somewhere else, or do you think internet is going to be the way of radio nowadays, since like everything's changing?
I don't really know. I mean, this is my only first time. I didn't even know they had online radio stations. Okay, I had no idea. I feel like maybe I did, but I didn't really think about it in my mind. And then once they reached out and they told me everything about them, I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this, Jordan, like, you need to do this. So that's kind of like really how I started, and I just started asking questions, and I just started getting more involved with it, and I love the people I work with. It's amazing, and I love talking to new people. Right now we're interviewing for interns, so I started interviewing them and like asking them questions, and like I'm gonna be the say of, okay, which one fits best into whatever. So it's definitely interesting, and I'm learning a lot. Like, I feel as though that, yeah, I had interns and like I learned a lot also there, but I'm getting a whole new world with this. And I love it because I actually honestly love doing more things online, because I feel like no one gives love to the online radio stations as much, is because they, in their city, they have their own numbers they can just put on the radio. So they can just put it in, there you go. With here, it's great, and I love it. I mean, the listener aspect is really good too. Friday nights with DJ Brian actually cracked 1 million listeners months
Wow.
ago. Yeah, and he just keeps going up. And I'm like, please don't ever tell me how many people are listening to me. And they're pretty high. I mean, I do have a lot of people, but I'm just like, please do not tell me, especially when I'm like doing everything, like if I'm live or not, because I don't want to know. I just want to keep being myself, and I'll know afterwards. So it's kind of, I just like, no, I don't want to know. But they also have a radio station though in Indianapolis, so I'm gonna start going there hopefully soon once everything calms down, because my mom's getting surgery and I have a lot of other things to do. So yeah,
Like you're going to travel there by yourself and go.
yeah, I was gonna think about bringing Megan with me. Travel together.
How are they all doing, anyways? Because I don't really hear much from anybody in your group.
Megan's fine. Natalie's fine. Kenzie's fine. She's just doing college stuff. She's doing her summer classes. Megan, she's fine. She works all the time and she lives her little dandy life. And, she thinks she's still herself, her comedian self. Natalie, I have not really talked to because we do have different schedules, but I know that she's still working and she likes doing it. But yeah, she kind of just stays home. She's always been like that. So we text here and there, but with our schedules now, like I don't even text Megan throughout the day like I used to. So I barely can even answer her FaceTime call. So, but we talk at night. We're into Love Island. The new season just came out, and it's so good.
Never saw it.
Love I
Never
You
saw
need
it.
to. You need to. It's
Is
so fun.
it a reality TV technically, or
It's kind of like Love is Blind, but totally different.
like
Love is Blind on Netflix?
yeah?
It's kind of like that, but it's totally different. There is 5 girls and 5 guys that come in. And in the beginning of the thing, they introduce themselves, whatever. And then the girls, this time around, the girls had to pick 2 guys and kiss them 2 guys and then figured out which one was the best kisser. And then they had to go from there. And then one girl stole a guy from this girl. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I would never want to be on this. Which since now, I don't know if you know this, but I'm also modeling. So I have a casting app that I go on and look at all the stuff that it gives me. And there's on reality coupling shows. And I'm like, no, I could never deal with that mental and probably anxiety for me. So I was like, nope, no. But yeah, it's really good. So we're kind of in that right now. Haven't been able to watch it yet. I only watched one episode. So it just keeps going out every night. So I'll be having to catch up soon.
I've been watching a lot of All American lately. I'm trying to catch up with everything.
I actually never watched All American. I don't know if I'm gonna like it. And I know people are gonna be like, "Are you serious?" Like, da da da. But I gotta be in the vibe to watch TV.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm kind of the same. I mean, you already know me. I'm always busy. I was ever since I came back to Delco. I'm just it's nothing but being busy all the time. It was more busy than I was in Westchester.
Yeah.
Because now I got a puppy, as you know, and then Tori and we've been going out a lot because we live in a place that is less money than what we used to pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just been nothing but.
No, it's different. It's a lot.
Oh, it is. It's like having a kid. I mean, I don't know. I'm not I think when we have kids in the future, definitely if I'm still podcasting, my videos and posting is going to go down by a lot, just because I'm going to be even more busy, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm actually ready for all that eventually in the future down the line.
Yeah, see, I just turned 21 this summer, so I'm just living the 20s life. I'm not worrying about anything, nothing. I'm kind of just doing it.
Yeah,
So
20 was fun. 21 was a good time when I was your age.
I'm excited. I'm definitely not I feel as though that I will go out a lot, but I also won't at the same time. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. We guess I'll see. I see Jessie Murph in 3 days after my 21st, and you know who I love, Jessie Murph. She's my idol. She's my girl. She's my bitch. But now I love her. So I think this is my 6th or 7th time seeing her already.
Really?
So it just keeps, yeah. I love it. I love her concerts. They're healing, but they're also so fun. So, and this is the only girl I will see over and over again. I will not do it with anyone else. Except right now, tomorrow I'm seeing Luke Bryan for the 3rd time. But besides the point, yeah, so I'm excited.
I never heard of Jessie Murph until you started talking about her, and then I looked her up, and I'm just there's a few things I can get into her music.
No one, I know her music is very unique, but I've been listening to her since 2020. but like I relate to the songs that are she writes about. I relate to mostly all of them. So that's why it's so easy for me to get into her music, is because when you relate to something and you feel it like hardcore, like, it's there. Like, she writes about some deep shit, and I relate to it, and it's kind of how I got into it. And then now, like, this new like album that's coming out on July 18th, I don't know what I know a lot of most of her unreleased songs, but I have no idea what order. She has a song coming out tomorrow, and I'm like, oh no. Like, I'm so excited because I already know it, but I'm like, this is a dirty song. And I'm not used to Jessie writing dirty songs. So
Wasn't she a TikTok star beforehand?
she no, well, she wasn't. She just started singing, and that's how she started her career, was on TikTok, and it just kept growing, 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 growing.
Gotcha.
Then she came out with this banger. It was like "Always Been You," and then after that, it just kept rising. She's doing really good though.
I feel like depending on what you do on TikTok, like, you know me, I do like a lot of horror stuff, and then like
Hmm.
it's just radio and log shit. But anyways, like, I feel like no matter what you post on TikTok, there's always that one video that will just blow up, and then you'll
Exactly.
step from there.
And I'm like, hey, wanna come over to me? No, that's never ever gonna happen. Maybe, who knows? But I have a little bit of on my one account. I have like a little bit of clout, not really, but um, a lot of people like go on my lives and stuff when I do them. But yeah, it's basically, yeah. I mean, I'm just working full time. I'm just babysitting also, which I'm almost done babysitting, which I'm going to miss very much probably. But new adventures, time to be a big girl, time to adult, sadly. But no, I'm just full time working on my podcast still, now my radio stuff, and yeah,
It's a lot.
it is a lot, but I can handle it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really good when it's okay, you have to get this done. So I'm really good at that.
It's kind of like with what I do. I mean, like, you know me, I'm at the Fanatic one day, and then I'm doing other stuff for the station where I'm working at. And now I'm doing like nights when they do like baseball games, because there's this thing at the Fanatic called Sunday Night Baseball, where I'm basically in the studio till like 10, 11 o'clock at night by myself and just listening to the baseball game, hitting buttons. That's really all I do.
Hmm.
So I'm always busy, depending on what day it is, you know?
Yeah, same with me for sure. But I like try to map out my days where I can have time to myself. So I don't know. I just need to get on a routine, and once I get on a routine, I'm ready to go. It's on.
What's the future look like, do you think, for you?
Um, the future for me is definitely when I want to be at Cookie Monster Radio for a while. I definitely would never want to leave them. They're giving me a good pay, but not only that, but they're giving me the best opportunities that I've had ever. And I'm learning so much there also, and I'm learning stuff about myself, and I'm learning stuff about everything that I've been trying to figure out for a while. So I don't see myself leaving anytime soon, of course. I love it there, and I just love what I do. And I love working remotely. That is my shit. I learned that. Love being in my little safe haven with like my little office in the corner of my room and just doing what I need to do, doing what I love to do. So definitely Cookie Monster Radio definitely helped me get back into loving radio again, and there is a purpose on me doing it. So yeah, and of
But
course podcasting.
that's all you need to do. That's like, if you know what you love, then you do what you gotta do, you know?
Yeah, basically how it's going, and I don't know, it's just like a great positive vibe over there. Like, I feel as like that's what I need. You know what I mean? And like, I still get pushed, and I still like get pushed into what I need to do, but it's like just so much better. I don't know. I can't wait to go see the station and see what it's all about, and get to meet other people that do work there, because obviously, and they're people that work there, to like do sales or whatever. So I'm just really excited.
How long has the station been around?
I 4 years.
4 years? That's not bad.
I think, yeah. Yeah. My mind is like like all over the place. So I'm like, pretty sure 4 years. But yeah, so I'm excited. And I have goals for the radio station. Right now, I kind of feel like I'm the manager of the whole station. So I definitely have goals for our social media platforms and I have stuff on that. So I'm just here to grow it. So here to grow it and have a good time.
Yeah, I think internet stations will last for a while because I don't know the whole state of radio. I can't predict it. Like people, you can argue and say it is dying, but at the same time, like streaming's a big thing, and streaming radio is probably like the next big thing. That's gonna
Yeah. Thank God I got started into it now.
yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, that's all I really do, and I love it.
That's good.
A lot of concerts.
Any closing thoughts you want to address real quick before we go?
No, that's basically it.
Wow, it's a lot.
Yeah, I kind of just told you like my whole life story of what happens now.
Well, you always seem busy too, so I mean, it's good that you're busy.
Yeah, I leave for the shore next weekend for a week, so I need to get everything done.
I haven't been to the beach yet this year, so
Yeah, I'm going right before Barefoot, so I'm gonna go that whole week.
yeah, Barefoot's a big event. I know. I hear a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, this is my second year going. I got main stage VIP. If you guys see me, make sure you guys come say hello.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again. This should be out tomorrow, which is Friday. Friday, yeah. I had to think about that.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks again, and
Thank you for having me.
no problem. Yeah. No, I decided like it's 10 years. Just have like a few guests who've been on frequently. Try to get a few more people on, but like scheduling conflicts, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I understand that. Trust me.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, no, thanks again, and we're gonna take a quick little break, and I'll be back in just a few.
Hey there, concrete jungle, you've been alright to me. But my boots are made for hiking, not for dirty city streets. And I need a trail less traveled, and to find out where it leads. Time is like a river, and I won't watch you pass. From a suburb of a city, just stuck behind the glass. I was born to wander, and I wonder why I'm still here. So rock me, Rocky Mountains, in the valleys down below, the woods that I grew up in the January cold. How I miss that western sunrise and the wheat fields painted gold. Trout fishing in the summer, elk hunting in the snow. Yeah, those mountains keep calling, and it's time to go home. Go on home. Nature tends to nurture, and I could use a dose. My church is in the wilderness, where I talk to God the most. And lately he's been telling me, son, it's time to go. So go on, go. Whoa. So rock me, Rocky Mountains, in the valleys down below, the woods that I grew up in the January cold. How I miss that western sunrise and the wheat fields painted gold. Trout fishing in the summer, elk hunting in the snow. Yeah, those mountains keep calling, and it's time to go home. Go on home. Go on home. So rock me, Rocky Mountains, in the valleys down below. grew up in the January cold. I miss that western sunrise and the wheat fields painted gold. Trout fishing in the summer, elk hunting in the snow. Yeah, those mountains keep calling, and it's time to go home. Go on home. Go on home. Yeah, those mountains keep calling, and it's time to go home.
All right, I'm with Bob Kaplan, my final guest of the 10-year anniversary show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Had a long day at work. Exhausted. It's just like I'm not a morning person, and I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and you don't get used to it, like ever.
No, you're right about that. I hate waking up in the morning. I'm usually a night owl. You know, we used to like
Yeah.
wake up late at night, and I'm usually sitting around watching something on YouTube or playing Silent Hill. I get up at 5 every morning and I can't like stay awake.
Yeah, and you know what it is, like being a teacher. There's days when I'm running around, I'm working a lot. Then there's days where I'm just kind of sitting there watching them, and those are the hard days where I'm like struggling to stay awake.
Do you drink coffee at all or no?
I gave up coffee years ago. I drink it occasionally. I drink tea.
Okay.
I gotta have my yerba mate every day, and I love matcha lattes.
I do coffee, and then if I don't do coffee, I'll go to like Wawa and get like a cappuccino, which really kind of wakes me up in a way because it's sugar and whatever in there.
So I used to, when I was in college, I would drink 4 Monsters a day.
4 monsters a day.
Yeah, and then when I would do doubles at Applebee's, I would get those really tall white Monsters and drink 2 of those in a double. And those things are just delicious too. They went back down so fast.
But isn't that bad for it? Like that would be bad, wouldn't it be?
Oh yeah, and somebody said to me like, "How are you still standing drinking 4 Monsters?" And I usually always have the same response. I'm like, "That's the benefits of bipolar."
When I before, like when Tori and I first started dating, I would do 2 cups of coffee and then a Monster. So I was constantly drinking caffeine a day. So I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack.
I come to realize is not the conversation I thought we'd be having. I've come to realize that the less caffeine you drink, the less caffeine you need.
Yeah.
But there are days, I need a lot just to get through, because it's just, there's 3 types of people in this world. There's morning people, there's night owls, and there's in-betweeners. And you can't just change who you are.
No.
And like you and I went to college. Wait, did you go to college?
Yeah.
You went to college. That's what I thought. Like we're used to like early mornings. We did it for years, and doing it for work. It's just you don't get used to it ever.
No.
If anything, in college it was easier because I was younger, so I didn't need as much sleep. So I could like function on like 3 hours, and now I need more than 8.
More than 8?
Yeah, more than 8 to really feel refreshed.
Since we got a puppy, she used to wake up at 4:30 every morning. Now she wakes up at 5, which is still like better, but like what I do is I take her out, feed her, and then I go right to bed until she wakes me up again to go out. That's what I do.
My brother has a puppy and a newborn.
Yeah, Mike, right?
Yeah.
When was his kid born? Because I saw something a long time
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day?
Yeah, when I held my niece for the first time, I cried, man. I never thought I could love something that much. She is so adorable.
It's weird though when you're holding like a human kid that belongs to a sibling.
Yeah, I mean we share blood.
Yeah. That like even if you have your own kid, I don't have kids yet, but like I could just imagine what it's going to be like whenever I have kids.
I don't want kids.
You don't want kids?
No. I was gonna ask you guys have been married what for like 2 years now?
3 years.
3?
3.
Wow, that's really went by fast.
It was Halloween of 2021.
Yeah, so I don't know if we ever mentioned this in the podcast, but you text me somewhere in October and you said, "Hey, you want to go to a wedding on Halloween?" And I thought it was a gig. I thought you wanted me to do stand up. And I'm like, "Oh no, man, I have a gig that night. Otherwise, I would totally do it." And then I see you on Halloween post. I just married my best friend today. And I text you. I'm like, "Wait, it was your wedding? That's how you invite me to your wedding?"
Because I knew you were to officiate it, so I was like, maybe we can get Bob to do it. So because I didn't want to pay, this one lady wanted like $300 for just to marry us in a park.
I charge about like $250, I think.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, and I'm a bad businessman, so I will do a sliding scale. Depending, like for something like that, like I did a wedding like that. It was just in a park. It was really low key. I did it for like 150, I think.
That's that's kind of what we do. It was just like it was at Everhart Park in West.
And they fed me too,
Huh?
And they fed me.
Where's that at?
No, they fed me. The reception. They gave me food.
Like you said, I thought you
like they paid me and they fed me, so that's that sweetens the deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that's like it's become a part of my business, like the weddings, because in old times shamans would do rituals, and we don't and ceremonies. They would do ceremonies, and nowadays, what ceremonies do we really have? It's weddings.
Yeah.
I can also I could do baptisms, because baptism is a naming ceremony. You're just announcing the name of the child, so it's non-religious. So you don't have to be Christian or Catholic or whatever to have a baptism for your child.
Were you baptized?
Technically, yeah. Technically, I would say technically. I mean, I was, but technically, I was like raised Catholic, and then I think when my dad would start bringing me to synagogue when I was 13, I started to kind of lean towards Judaism. And then, I would say I went back and forth between being Catholic, being Jewish, being an atheist, being agnostic. And now I'm like, I'm pretty anti-theistic. I don't really believe in the concept of organized religion.
I was baptized Methodist, but I kind of agree. I don't really, I don't know what to believe of, like, if there's a heaven or a hell, because there's no proof, I guess.
So being a spiritual, whatever you want to call me, spiritual guru or coach, or, I am a shamanic practitioner, so I am a man of the cloth, technically. I believe in the universe. I don't believe in a singular being as a creator. But I think what I consider the universe is what other people would consider God. And it's within all of us. All living things are connected through a life force, like an energy. And that is what people would consider God. And I think when we die, we just go back to the source. We become part of the energy of the universe.
My thought is, when you die, you become another family member, like
Reincarnation. Kind of like Aeon Flux.
Yeah.
I kind of believe in the whole Force Ghost thing. I think that one's pretty cool. I think Lucas got a lot of stuff right when he came up with the Jedi, because Jediism is a religion now.
Is it really?
Yeah. There's tons of books on it, and it's actually, I think, a church of the Jediism. I think they actually have a church. But I think he got a lot of stuff right. I mean, he based a lot of it on shamanism and Buddhism. Because Jedis and shamans are basically kind of the same concept. But I kind of get the whole Force Ghost thing. I think it's like the spirits are part of the universe, of the collective energy, until they're needed. and then they can manifest to help the loved ones or whatever needs to be done.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Because like, having, because I do shamanic journeying usually the third Sunday of every month at Earth, Wind, Fire, and Ice. And I've seen a lot of stuff. And I've known things about the people I've journeyed with before they told me. And I did have someone say that during the journey he got to clear up some questions he had for his grandparents.
Huh.
He got to ask them something that he wanted to ask them when they were alive. So he was able to really deal with some conflict he thought he might have had.
That's one thing I would love just to do is just contact my grandparents. I just would like to see what they would say about certain things,
I'm good. I don't need to know what my grandfather has to say. I heard enough when he was alive.
Was he one of those talkers? Because
Yeah, he mastered what he called the art of bullshit.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize until years after he died, and I guess that was when I really started, was really working on myself, how much trauma I had from him. Because you can't survive childhood without having childhood trauma.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff, I realized I had left over from him, and it made me realize how big of a part he was of my childhood and of my development as a person. I always see that childhood is the beta stage.
Yeah.
And you can't get through it without having issues or having traumas. It's just I think I remember hearing somebody actually at a Buddhist circle say that, whatever you do, you're gonna mess your kids up.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how you raise them. You can raise
Yeah.
them to be the nicest person, but my mom, she would yell at us and I think she put it this way a long time ago. I did it to induce fear in them because I didn't want to be their best friend. I wanted them to know what was right and wrong by yelling at them. That's what my dad never yelled, but he did yell at my sister one time. He did, but he never yelled at me.
You have a twin brother, right?
Yep.
I still have you saved on my phone as Evil Twin.
You saved me in your phone as Evil Twin.
It says TJ Evil Twin.
That was the first time we met too. That was like,
dude, that was so weird. How you messaged me that day, and then I happened to be your server that night, and you weren't even planning on going to Applebee's.
no, it was just, and it was really weird that one time because I remember messaging you. I was working at a car job, and I was like, I really want to do something, whether it's in radio or film. And I looked up filmmakers on Facebook. You popped up, and I was like, oh, this guy looks familiar. And then that's when I messaged you.
And then that night you walked into Applebee's, and I was your server.
Yep, that was Westchester days when we first moved in. So when the first, and then we did film. We did a lot of stuff. You helped me with a film project, and you had COVID, and you thought you gave me COVID. That
I felt so bad. Like the first time we did anything together, I thought I gave you COVID.
that was
back when it was alpha. Like it was actually a big deal back then.
Yeah, that was bizarre. But didn't you have a shot though? And then the shot
so I got so I woke up that day with a scratchy throat, and I thought it was from vaping or allergies. Like I didn't think much of it, and then I got the shot. And then, I went home. I think I got out of the shower, and I started to feel like crap. And you and I filmed it. I was by that point, I was definitely having muscle aches. By the time we filmed that scene, and then I just woke up the next day feeling awful. And I said, "Let me try to sleep it off." So I slept majority of the day, and then I woke up and I'm like, I gotta go get tested. So I went and got tested and it was COVID.
Wow.
Because I also like gripped you up in the scene too. So you and I were definitely in contact.
And I'm surprised I never got it either. Because
Well, it's like, dude, my brother and sister-in-law, like they've had it a few times, and the one time she had it, they shared a bed together and he never got it.
see, that's just bizarre, like how that happens.
Yeah, and then like I was in quarantine and my whole family got COVID. Like I quarantined from the whole family in my room and they still all got COVID.
Well, it's kind of like when you get sick too, because like when I got sick, I slept on an air mattress, but I slept in the same room, and Tori still got sick. So it's like it doesn't matter. Like it, I guess
Yeah.
it's like differently sicknesses.
Yeah, and like at the time too, we really didn't know. Like they never told us anything about COVID. Like everything we were told was later contradicted.
Oh yeah.
It was just like I think the biggest issue and why you have like two sides of it. You got people who are overly cautious to a point where it's annoying, and then you got people who are completely like, oh, like against like it being even ever being an issue, and that's also annoying. Um, and it's because so much misinformation and lack of information and like making us do things and not explaining to us exactly why it needs to be done.
It's just bizarre, like some of the things that have come out, like in the last like few years. And do you hear what's going on now with Elon and Trump? They're like not friends anymore.
I heard that. I heard Doge is gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I was so like I was on X, just scrolling through, and Elon and Trump are going at it on social. It's funny. It's just like an. Still there?
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
No, like I was saying, like on X, like they're like fighting back and forth, and it's like ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend type deal.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into politics publicly these days, but
Yeah.
I will say that Trump has a falling out with everybody he is in contact with.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I know him and Stern were good friends, and then when Stern turned against him, he didn't like him after that.
Well, Stern's always been a Democrat,
Yeah,
and
and
so is Trump at that matter.
but that's the thing. Like that's what I don't understand. Like a lot of people hate Howard, but they knew he was a Democrat back in the day. Like
Yeah. Well,
they,
because it's not a problem until it's a problem.
right. Well, same thing with how he is now. Like everyone calls him Hollywood Howard, but he was probably always into that. He always said he hated like what's going on in Hollywood, this, that, and the third. But like he was probably always wanted to be a part of that crew, and now he is. So
Yeah, and he took that. I mean, I think when he went on America's Got Talent, they made him a sweet deal.
oh yeah, definitely, they definitely.
I only started watching it because he had him and Howie Mandel on there. That was great, and I didn't watch it for that long.
I watched it like the year before he came on, and then I watched it until about like maybe 2 seasons after, and I got tired of Simon Cowell.
Yeah, I liked I liked it when it was Howie and Howard.
Yeah,
Because I'm a huge Howie Mandel fan. I think he is one of the funniest comedians of all time, and just one of the funniest personalities. And I used to follow his son on TikTok just because him and his son would do live streams together.
really.
And I mean, I watched Deal or No Deal. That was a fun show.
The other show, it was in Deal or No Deal and something else. So wasn't he in one more show before that?
Yeah, I think he had 2 game shows, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I can't remember. It's gonna bug me now. But I remembered it was 2 game shows, and now he just does America's Got Talent.
So he's still doing America's Got Talent?
Yeah, he's been on that since 2010.
I've watched a little bit. Oh, okay, he did Canada's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, Deal or No Deal. I don't see anything else.
Oh,
You know, they did a Gremlins cartoon and he's not voicing Gizmo on it.
Oh, he's not.
No, like, what's the point, man? Are you going to bring back Gizmo and not bring back Howie?
They probably found someone that could do his voice better.
Do the voice better than the creator of the voice?
Yeah, no, you're
Well,
not wrong.
I mean, they've been talking about Gremlins 3 forever. And I met Zach Galligan. I said, I can't wait for the third movie. And he goes, you're going to have to wait. They don't even have a script yet.
They didn't have a script yet.
No, this was years ago. I met him at Monster Mania. He said they didn't have a script. I don't think we're ever going to get a Gremlins 3.
There's a lot of movies that I kind of wish had sequels, and they're not going to get to them. Like Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. That's never going to be a thing.
I just saw. So apparently, Sam Raimi was brought on. And I think one of the reasons they didn't want to do it is because Sam wanted Ash to win. Ash
Right.
should win. Plus, he's human, so he can't come back from the dead. But they didn't want Freddy to lose in both movies.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's how the storyline went, because didn't the comic?
Well, the comic is based on the screenplay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Sam Raimi said, if we do it, I think Sam. I mean, he said they were different worlds, but I mean, they're all connected to each other. Because, I mean, I'm not going to include Freddy's hand in the cabin because Sam Raimi and Wes Craven used to go back and forth referencing each other's movies. But you have the Dagger of the Dead, the Necronomicon, and Freddy all in Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
So Jason Goes to Hell connects all three franchises.
Well, what about Chucky? Because I don't know if you remember, but in Bride of Chucky, they had Michael Myers mask. They had a couple like things in the police department. A couple of
Yeah. See, the thing is though that the Dagger of the Dead was a key story device, and Jason Goes to Hell. It was the only thing to destroy Jason's black heart. And then at the end, Freddy's arm reaches up and grabs Jason's mask and pulls it down to hell. Those are like direct references. I mean, it's like at the end of Predator 2 when you see the aliens, the xenomorph skull in the Predator ship, and because of that, it's like we had to have Alien vs Predator.
And then they had a couple others, didn't they? Like Alien versus Predator, or something else. There was like two of them.
Yeah, there's two of them. The second one actually was interesting, but they've been retconned since. Like Prometheus basically retconned them and said they just never happened. So they're really just fan fiction. But if you somebody sent me something offensive. He said the new Captain America is terrible. If you I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about.
Versus Predator.
Oh, Sigourney Weaver quit after 3. They killed her off in 3 because she quit because she didn't want to be a part of Alien vs. Predator. It took them so long to do Alien vs. Predator that they resurrected her and then did Alien vs. Predator.
Huh.
And when Joss Whedon, I guess, I don't know if Joss Whedon pitched it or whoever pitched it to Sigourney Weaver, Alien Resurrection, she liked the idea of playing this new character that's a clone of Ripley. So she did it because she was interested in this character. Like, I think for her, it was a challenge.
Right.
So that's always cool when actors really artists. Or like, yeah, I would really want to give this a try because I think this character could really challenge me.
Yeah. What was I about to ask?
And then when she was doing Chappie, Neil Blomke pitched her his idea for an Alien movie. And she liked it, apparently, because he wanted to retcon 3 and bring back Michael Biehn and Newt.
Yeah, I never saw all the Aliens. I saw parts of 1 and I saw parts of Predator a long time ago.
Michael Biehn hated Alien 3 because he said, like, he's like Hicks. He said, this guy's sending me all these mean things about Anthony Mackie and Captain America, and he's angering me. He said Hicks can't die that way. That was such a terrible way for Hicks to die.
Did you? Well, I feel like a lot of sequels they're like. I always feel like is it trilogy? Yeah, trilogies. Like there's always like a flub in either the first, second, or the third one, and I always feel like it's the third movie that always has a problem. There's always
Well, apparently the movie that they ended up making was not the movie they intended to make. And they actually made an audio book on Audible of the original script of Alien 3. And I think Lance Henriksen, some other actors come back for it.
and they talked about what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, because there was going to be this planet, but it wasn't going to be a prison. It was going to be like a bunch of monks on like this floating planet or something. But I don't know. Like after Alien 2, everything really went downhill. I like 3. I like because it brought it back to the more horror-esque, because 2 was a little too actiony.
Yeah,
Because I feel like every other Alien movie was like Alien 1 is horror, Alien 2 is action, Alien 3 is horror, Alien 4 is action.
well, it's kind of like with Halloween. Like Halloween 3 was probably the scariest Halloween film ever, and then it kind of just got a little.
Halloween 3 is probably the only reason you and I are friends.
Oh yeah, well,
Not the only reason, but I mean, like, you're probably one of the only people I know that love that movie as much as me.
it's like I don't know. I feel like they should have done something more with the Halloween with Season of the Witch. Like I kind of wrote a sequel for it because I read some of that Tom Akins.
They should have made Halloween an anthology series like it was originally planned.
Well, they should have made a sequel to it. They could have made a sequel to Season of the Witch.
And they like, just because that Carpenter wanted to make Halloween an anthology series didn't mean we'd never see Michael Myers again. We could still bring him back. They could have brought back Season of the Witch. They could have brought back Michael Myers, but do other stories too, because like the first 3 Halloween movies are the best 3 Halloween movies.
You didn't like 4 or 5?
I respect 4, 5, and 6. I also really love a lot of the actors that were in them, and Loomis was in them all. Michael Myers' mask looked like shit in like 4 and 5. I like the whole Black Thorn storyline, but overall they weren't really that good.
I didn't like 6. I hated 6.
6 is one of my favorites. The producer's cut is the one you got to watch too.
Well, that's the only one I watched because I don't watch someone with where Michael is just basically gone the entire second half of the movie.
You gotta so I hate that the new Halloween trilogy retcon 2. And then Carpenter goes, yeah, you can consider this trilogy canon. But it's like 2 was canon. Carpenter wrote 2.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't hit as hard for me when she's not his sister.
I feel it, yeah, because now it's just some random guy who's going, like, why is he going after her? What's the purpose for going after her?
Because it was great when he killed his one sister and he wanted to finish off the other one.
Yeah.
And I liked the first 2018 Halloween. I didn't like that they weren't siblings anymore, but I liked it. I hated Halloween Kills. That movie is so overrated. And I loved Halloween Ends.
You love Halloween Ends?
Everybody hates it. And it's like, I wanted it to focus more on Corey and Allison.
Yeah.
I think this is how they should have done it. And it wouldn't have really worked because I don't think anybody would have seen 3 if they did it this way, but they should have killed Michael at the end of Halloween Kills. They should have the scene where she cuts him up, throws him in the compactor, and that's the end of Halloween Kills, right?
Right.
And then Halloween 3 is the aftermath, how the town creates a new killer through Corey. And it should focus more on Corey and Allison and not so much about Laura and Michael.
They could have done that.
And like, God forbid it, when a franchise goes on that long, can we give young people a chance to act? Do we have to only see old people in movies these days?
Because I think Jamie Lee Curtis is done with Halloween altogether.
Yeah, but they're going to reboot it in like 10 years. It's so I always say that the Halloween franchise is a mess. And every time they try to fix it, they make it even more of a mess. So you got 1 and 2, right? It's good. They good movies. They connect to each other. Then you got 3, which is a whole different storyline. And then we go back to 4 and 5, and then 6, saying that Laurie's dead. She's got a daughter raised by her cousin. And then they kill her off. And then you go to Halloween H2O, saying that 4, 5, 6 never happened. So now the timeline is just 1, 2, H2O. Then they make Halloween Resurrection, which I love that movie, by the way, because it's the same director as Halloween 2. And then the timeline is saying 1 and 2 and H2O and Resurrection. And then they retcon, then they start a whole new timeline with Rob Zombie and do 1 and 2.
Right.
And then they say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Resurrection, H2O, Resurrection, Halloween 1 and 2. None of that happened. It's just 1, and then we're starting over and again. It's like they just, instead of just completely rebooting it or remaking it or retconning it, like they just retcon it halfway through and say, okay, count these movies, but don't count these movies. And they keep changing what movies that we should be considered canon.
It's for a new
First
generation.
first we think the timeline is 1 and 2. And then 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, H2O Resurrection. And then 1, 2018, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. It's like it's ridiculous. But if you look at the Chucky movies, we've had the same actors, the same writer. The only time there was ever an inconsistency was Child's Play 3, and it was only because the actor who played Andy in the first 2 movies was not old enough for where the story jumped ahead. But other than that, Alex Vincent, what the hell is his name? It is the voice of Chucky. Brad Dourif.
Yeah,
Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif and Mancini, they've all been a part of the franchise since the beginning. Jennifer Tilly's been there forever. Fiona Dourif is now a part of it, and she even plays young Charles Lee Ray, which is cool because I don't think we've ever seen someone's daughter play them when they were, a young man. But it's been so clean that they've, other than Child's Play 3, they had to recast Andy, and the remake with Mark Hamill, which the only reason I saw it because Mark Hamill was the voice, but it was awful. They did Chucky without Charles Lee Ray. It was stupid. But other than that, that franchise has been really clean. I could say, there's only ever been one actor to play Jason more than once.
Kane Hodder.
Yeah. I think Nick Castle is also the only one to play Michael more than Tyler Mane was the first one to play Michael more than once. But I don't think, the guy in the mask though needs to always be the same actor, even though Kane did it better than anyone. But like Robert Englund was always Freddy, and then they made that remake.
Yeah. Huh.
But overall, most of the franchises, I think, have done a good job at being consistent, except for Halloween.
Well, Halloween's just, it's all over the place.
Yeah. Now they have a map of all the different timelines.
No, I have that map saved somewhere on my phone.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we are.
I am partial to the Black Thorn storyline at this point, though.
I wasn't a fan. 4 and 5.
I don't think they're great, but at least we had Loomis, and Paul Rudd makes an appearance, and we had Danielle Harris.
And then they remade her in Halloween, or no, they didn't remake her. They recasted her. I'm sorry, in Halloween 6.
Yeah, I don't know if I asked her why, because I asked her a ton of questions when I saw her in Monster Mania. I mainly asked her why she wasn't in the first Hatchet movie, but she was in the sequels, and she said she auditioned. She just thinks that Adam thought there was too many horror icons in the first movie.
So I know why she didn't do it, because remember how Michael raped Jamie and Jamie had a baby. She didn't like that.
Yeah.
That's why Danielle Harris didn't.
That's why she wasn't in 6.
Yeah.
I mean, because yeah, she would have been the right age because that was the biggest gap between two Halloween films was 5 and 6, I believe.
Yeah, because so Halloween 5 was in 1989. Halloween 6 came out in 1995, and that
They
was more
also so Paul Rudd said he would have done Halloween Kills
for
and
as
for to play Tommy Doyle again,
I could see that.
and they didn't want Paul Rudd because one, they didn't want to have anything that connects to the Blackthorn movies, even though they reference the Blackthorn movies and Season of the Witch.
Oh yeah, I know, I remember.
They also didn't want Paul Rudd's A-list status overshadowing the movie.
I don't think it would have.
I don't think so either. I think it would have been cool because all the other actors were original except for fucking what's his name playing Tommy Doyle, and he was terrible. I loved him in Dead Zone, but him as Tommy Doyle was awful. And listen, Evil Dies Tonight, it's a good line. But when it comes to a good line, don't overuse it. Say it once, maybe 3 times. Don't chant it throughout the movie. It came to a point where it was comical. He's just running by and goes, Evil Dies Tonight.
I remember.
And I'll tell you something, Evil didn't die. Evil didn't die that night because he walked off after killing a bunch of people.
Yeah. So we're running low on time. Like, is there anything you want to mention before we go?
Mainly because I thought we were going to talk about this more, but I like talking about horror though. But mainly that like I'm not really going to be doing much promoting films and comedy anymore. Really, what I'm focusing on right now is being the heavy metal healer. Third Sunday of every month, I'm an Earth, Wind, Fire, and Ice. Check the schedule though, because sometimes it changes. Like the past month and this month, it's the fourth Sunday. I have a men's healing circle at the Paris Study in I think is it technically Glen Mills? I don't know. Paris Study Inc. I have a men's healing circle there the last Tuesday of every month. I've been trying to get you to come out to that.
Yeah, busy with work.
But and I'm trying to work out of more shops, do more healings and shamanic journeying. So just I don't know, like I'm working on my last film project and then I'm completely done. And then I don't know what the comedy is going to be like, but as far as I see it, I think Blunt Bob is dead. It just doesn't resonate with who I am now.
Wow.
Being a dirty comedian, like I still have the same sense of humor, but I just don't have the interest in being a shock comic anymore. And if I do comedy again, it's going to be a complete rebrand and rewrite. It's not going to be dick jokes anymore.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The thing about purpose is we don't have one singular purpose in life. Our purpose keeps changing. And it's just those things just don't align with who I am now.
No, I get you.
I'm still edgy. I'm still blunt. You know, I still have a dirty sense of humor, but it's just I care more about healing and counseling and teaching. I mean, you know, I really care more about helping people.
No, I get.
And I think this, you know, being on this podcast, you know, you're so diverse that, you know, I came on originally as an entertainer, and then we spent a lot more time talking about me as a healer as time went on.
You've been on for 4 years. 20. Wow. So are you going to continue, like, are you going to continue doing the heal? I mean, you're still welcome to do the show and all that.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've talked about that a lot. We've talked about a lot of spiritual stuff. Plus ghost hunting, man, like that comes like I have something coming up where I got to go investigate a 300-year-old farmhouse with shadow people.
Wow.
And I still show people the Twin Tunnels video.
Yeah.
People constantly bring up the Twin Tunnels, and I just send them the video.
There was a guy that did a documentary on the Twin Tunnels.
Dude, you can't beat the video we did, though, man, because it was so perfect, like that everything went wrong.
You left your phone. I thought you were going to die in the tunnel.
Well, even when we found out we couldn't go in together, And then you're like, do you want to just go in? And then I'm like, I didn't know that I could come out the other side. And it creeped me out going through the first time. Like I definitely felt something. Like at the time I was much more skeptical, but I felt something in there. There was a presence.
Well, before we go, did you hear about the Annabelle doll that went missing?
I did hear about that. I remember hearing somebody go, how do you lose the most haunted doll in the world?
I think she's still missing. I was told that it was a hoax, but I think she's still out there.
Also, Annabelle's not the most haunted doll in the world.
No, it's
Don't even say his name, man. That dog will fuck with you even if you say his name.
You know, so there are these two YouTubers, Sam and Colby.
Yeah, I know Sam and Colby.
They filmed Annabelle, the one that we're not going to name, and another doll, and they put it on camera, and I caught a glimpse of him, and I apologized in the YouTube comments, just thinking,
You got to apologize.
huh?
So before we go, I'm just gonna. So I was writing an article on said doll, and I told my mom about the doll. She went and started looking at pictures of him, and then we had a mouse in our house. And then we were out to dinner, and she went on Facebook and apologized to him. We got home, the mouse was dead in the trap.
Damn.
I interviewed the person in charge of the museum. I interviewed the museum where he was at, the woman who travels with him when they do appearances. And at the time, I was using an old phone to record my interviews. You know, I was a journalist. I was using an old phone. And then when I went to sit down and write the article, the phone was smashed. So I interviewed the museum, the woman who works with the doll, and the phone. You know, I never published the article because the interview was destroyed. So that's why, like, I'll say Annabelle. I'm not talking about that dude, man. That doll is fucked up.
Yeah. Well, you gotta apologize now because
I didn't say his name.
Yeah, that's true. But
When I was in Florida, I actually went to Gator Beverage where they film Liquor Store. Was it Liquor Store 352? It's a YouTube channel I've been a fan of for like 2 years. And I actually went to the liquor store and met the guy who stars on the channel. And that was really cool. And I thought about looking to see where the museum was, but I think it's closer to Key West.
No, yeah, you're right. It's like somewhere near, I believe.
Didn't we talk about going there at one point?
Yeah, but you wanted to go see the Mothman or something.
Oh yeah, they do like a Mothman festival every year. I wanted to go to. I forgot about that.
But
I would love to get back to doing videos again, especially now that like I'm a little more aware of my gifts. Like that one video we did, it's just the footage was a mess, but like we really saw some shit.
Yeah, and then the thing, like that video popped up today in my feed.
Oh, the bridge,
the EMF detector, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta like I gotta look at that footage again. I know I say this every time I'm on, but it was giving me a headache to edit it because it was the traffic and the lighting. It was such a hard place to film.
When we go, look at Sawmill Road. I did an interview with the guy, and he told me some wild shit on that road. Terrell Dorsey.
Yeah. I still want to do the Radnor Hotel.
Is that you? That's haunted. Yeah, it is haunted.
They have a haunted room. I still want to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's like 150 a night. You know, we split that. It's not bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm closer to Radnor Hotel than I am in Westchester now.
Really?
I'm in Drexel Hill. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna get going. Finish my dinner.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for the last. We did a lot of shit in 4 years.
Yeah.
We'll continue to do more eventually down the line.
I got to get you. Like, I'm doing a web series as my last project.
Okay.
I got to get you in there somewhere.
Yeah. No, definitely. Let me know. I'll definitely do it.
Yeah. I'm writing it right now. I intend for it to be 2 seasons, but it's also it's kind of I'm writing it to be easy to film, so I think I can knock it out without having a temper tantrum and quitting again.
No, I got you. I'm doing a documentary on my podcast in the summer called The History of TJ TV Part 2, which is basically the last 5 years, because I did one in 2020 which led up to COVID, and then I think the last thing I edited or I talked about was an interview I did before the 5-year show, and now, with the 10-year show, I'll just probably just.
Pretty sure I was on your 5-year show, wasn't I?
No. It was you came in 2021. The 5-year show was in 2020.
I thought I remember doing some anniversary with you before.
I have to look back.
But yeah, I love that you're doing a documentary about yourself.
I feel like that's all.
Yeah.
I just had people talk about it. But anyways, thanks again, and we're gonna take a quick little break, and I'll end the show in a few seconds.
Crank up the bikes, crank up the songs, light up the smoke, pass it along. You only go around one time, then you're through. Pour me a drink, don't overthink, feeling alright, rocking the night. I ain't going down till I see the sun. And I'm back with a brand new sound, stirring up trouble in a brand new town, and I'm living on borrowed time. So I'm ready to ride, ready to go, head on a mellow and rubber to road. Nothing to lose, nothing to hide. It's only me and my fire inside, ready to ride. The sun's going down, the boys are in town. We live for the moment, we're locked and we're loaded. The girls in the law ain't ready. Everything's right when the beer's on ice. Keep 'em coming all night till they turn on the lights. Girl, let's set the night on fire. And I'm back with a brand new sound, stirring up trouble in a brand new town, and I'm living on borrowed time. So I'm ready to ride, ready to go, head on a metal and rubber to road. Nothing to lose, nothing to hide. It's only me and my fire inside, ready to
All right. That is the 10-year show. If you liked it, make sure you like on Spotify, TJTV6M producer TJ995 on TikTok, T Gleason22 on Instagram, and that's pretty much all the social media websites I'm going to give you to. Oh, also, TJ's production on YouTube. It was originally called TJ's Vlogs, so if you type in TJ's Vlogs, it will come up. So, if you want to check that out, go check it out. because I post all my stuff on TikTok, on YouTube as well. So if you want to check that out, make sure you do. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a speech real quick first. And first off, I want to say thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to the audience that I've acquired over the last 10 years. It's been a crazy 10 years. I mean, we've lived through a lot. You guys lived with me through the YouTube phase, the Facebook phase, Spotify, doing interviews. We lived through the last 3 elections. We lived through 3 crazy elections. Trump and Clinton, Biden and Trump, Kamala and Trump as well. Those were the craziest elections that we've had in the history of any elections. I mean, those last 3 were just wild. Lived through COVID-19 in 2020, where I did 3 shows a week from my living room. We lived through the Canada wildfires. Hey, we also lived through the time where I got on radio. This was a dream job of mine. I always wanted to be on radio. It didn't matter what it was. It really didn't matter, like whether I was a producer or a phone screener or something. Like, I wanted to be on radio. That was the number one goal. And it still is the number one goal. I mean, now I want to be on air, but we've been through a lot of great stuff. I mean, the last decade has just been amazing. I know a lot of you who have done podcasts for a while or have been in the radio game who listen to the show. You're probably like, oh, a decade's not that long. You know, I've been in radio for da-da-da-da-da. Listen, this has been the longest running show that I've ever had in my life. I started the show in 2015, and now it's 2025. And I may be ending the show on December 19th, or I may not. We'll see what happens. I mean, it really all depends on how I feel. I also have another podcast, the Scary Mary podcast. That's going to be dropping this summer. There's just a lot of great stuff going on, and I'm really happy about it. I'm eternally grateful for the people who I've talked to, the guests who I've had on, the friends I've made. I made a lot of good friends throughout this whole journey, especially with the YouTube thing. Like, with doing YouTube videos, that was something that I just did off of a whim because I knew you could make money off of it. I'm not making money now, which sucks, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, you know, I have to do what I have to do. But in any event, like I said, I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for the last 10 years. If I forget some of you that I mentioned, I'm sorry. Like I said, 10 years is a long time, and I haven't wrote down everybody, but yeah. So I want to thank Kevin Rawson, who was a videographer in 2020, helped me out with a few various projects. Ryan Stark, who was a podcast guest for, I think it was 4 or 5 episodes. Jake and John Wharton, they were actors and blog guests. David Richardson, I love Dave. David Richardson. That's what I used to do when I fucked with him, when we used to work together. Anyways, podcast guests and blog guests. Darius Furkey. I hope I pronounced your name, buddy, but he was an actor. Bob Kaplan, Ray Gonzalez, Tim Turner, Sam Whalen, Jordan Klupp, John Johnson, a.k.a. John the Ninja. And more importantly, I want to thank my wife, Tori Gleason. She's been with me since 2017. Got married in 2021, but she's been with me since 2017, and, you know, she's seen the growth of how things went. I also want to thank my sponsors who have sponsored me back in the day, and then when they found out my political views and how I think, you know, they kind of dropped me, but it is what it is. So, thank you for nothing. Also, like I said, thank you to the audience, and, you know, onward and upward, and let's see what we can do before December 19th. And if I come back, I come back. Plus, you know, thank you for all the years as well. I don't know what you expected from the 10-year show, but, you know, my show, my rules. Anyways, fuck SBNC, and if you don't know who they are, well, you know, inside joke. And let's see what happens in the next few months. All right, love you all to death, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend, and bye.
What is rock? Rock is the area between the